How you doing, guys? How's things? Hope all is well. I'm after introducing that video like I'm living in the Antarctic and I'm checking in at Christmas time. I'm actually plonked right next to you. Probably with a can of Guinness in my hand. Mum probably has a glass of red Dada. Chloe's probably drinking Captain Morgan and Coke. I love rum. And Chloe's probably drinking gin tonic. And then poor Molly's just there throwing the paw at all of us, looking for a rub. And I'm sure Anne McGowan currently has her hogged. But guys, 4 years today. We all know, tragically, we lost our father, a loving husband, and an amazing friend who left such a mark on all our lives. Such a mark. Such an empathetic, joyful, fun, and just a pure, genuine character who had each and every one of us in his hearts at every moment in time. He cared so much for his family, cared so much for each and every one of us, and they're not just words, I mean that. Like, I could give so many examples. I was in college, texting me at 4 o'clock in the morning, any women, or there's so many examples of just his genuine empathy and concern. Always for me, for football, he'd ask me how I played. I was looking back at my phone there with his messages. He was like, well, Gooch, how did you play? Did you do me proud? Always checking in. It was just such an amazing father and always wanted the best. Bringing us on holidays through the years, he gave us, combined with yourself, Mum, such an amazing childhood. And I am forever thankful to that man for being in my life. And I could easily look back, and I do think back with sadness of Dad, but mostly what I think back of is pleasant, happy memories of that man, because he's such an amazing man who left such a mark on so many people, and I'm sure we can all speak for, I'm sure we can all get behind that, guys, because he left such a mark on all our lives. He had such an ability to fill a room with his big, stupid laugh, the laughing policeman with Nuala Dignan, or whether it was going into a shop in Bulgaria, he'd become best friends with the person. Like, to describe the man, we were in Bulgaria for 2 weeks, and we'd go out for dinner near the end of the holiday, and Michael McGowan would walk through the streets as if he was the Taoiseach of Ireland walking through O'Connell Street in Dublin, waving at everyone, my friend, meet my lovely wife, look at this. Like, it's an amazing, the ability that man had to mingle with people and leave an effect on people. And I wanted to mark that. I wanted to get a video together to surprise you guys on his 4th anniversary today of the people who Dad valued the most and who in my eyes valued Dad the most, based on stories that happened throughout the years. And I wanted to get it in one place because I looked at these videos that people have sent on to me of their most memorable times with Dad and their most fun times, and it just really clarified to me a point I knew, that Michael McGowan was the biggest cowboy I've ever met, and the most fun, energetic, outgoing, uplifting character who left such a mark on everyone around him. And guys, this video, it opened my eyes to how much of a mark he has left on people. And I think going forward, it's for all of us to look at and look back on with such fondness. We all have our memories. I think a story that I'm going to briefly say, I could tell a million, and this just popped to mind as I'm saying this, but when we were out in Strand Hill, Dad goes, right, Brian, come on, we'll pretend, we'll have a game, see who knows more people. Dad just said to me, geez, you know your fair share of people, you don't know as many as me, you don't know as many as me. Of course, Dad always had the upper hand, whether it was playing tennis or anything. No, you won't beat me, you won't beat me. Playing ping pong, he was too stubborn to lose. And of course, I was too stubborn to accept defeat anyway. So anytime we got into a bit of competition, very healthy competition, but Christ, we both wanted to win. And not from the win they took it, but out in Strand Hill, come on, Brian, we see who knows the more people. It's like, lovely, Strand Hill, young, there'll be couples out there and all, there'll be people my age, I'll have this. And we're walking down by the Strand Bar. Within a minute of saying it, Dad had 5 points, right? This German-looking character, he was just off a flight, I'd say. I'd say he was just off a flight from Dublin and arrived down to Sligo. And the man had never been in Sligo before. Ah, how's things? How's things? The man looks at Dad. Who is he? And I'm just here. Ah, here, what's this fella up to? Next person. How's things? How are you? How are you getting on? They're all like, hello. Looking bewildered as to saying, who is this man? And it was only when he got to 5-1, I'd say it was. I was like, do you know these people? I do, of course. I was like, who was that first fella you were chatting to? Oh, that was this fella. Straight out of his arse, but it was just a little fun memory I had with Dad of the cowboy he was. Waving at everyone, just getting points as if he knew all these people. But then there was the odd person he'd wave at who he'd become best friends with. And look, I give him the point for that. But look, he typically bet me in most things we competed in. But look, guys, I just want to say, as a family, I want to commend you for the past 4 years, because you've been an absolute... You've been so strong. You've been so strong. And the effect you've had on me as a result has been amazing. Just Chloe yourself, as the baby of the family, to lose your dad at that age is one of the hardest things ever for any of us. But for you, being the baby of the house, witnessing what you witnessed and being around, but to come out as strong as you have done, everyone would say you're such an amazing, smiley, nice, good crack girl, and there's so much fun to you. And what I admire most about you, Chloe, is how you've kept the sunny side out no matter what. Like, if you were in bad form, you would still be coming out with a smile on your face, and I don't think anyone's ever going to take that away from you. And I think Dad would be so proud of you. He always spoke about how well spoken you are, and I just know he's looking down at you, so proud of you for what you're doing. And even going through your leaving cert, just getting on with things, it can't be easy. The only thing is, you're playing for St. Mary's. Look, what can I do? There's nothing we can do about it. But look, I'm only joking. But yeah, fair play to you, Chloe. He'd be so proud of you. Laura, probably the most solid of all 4 of us. Anything you do right. And just a very solid girl. I think I'd turn to you for advice in the morning, because I think you have such a solid approach and opinion on everything. And I think Dad would be so proud of the person you've become. Again, how can that be easy on a person? But still, always sunny side out, always smiling, and always... Well, you'll tell someone where to go, don't get me wrong. You'll tell them if they're wrong, or you'll stamp the foot down, but... Which was also a part of Dad, so that's probably where you got it from. But look, it's such an admirable... You're such a true person. There's nothing fake about you. Everything you do is just real. You're such a real, strong-hearted individual, and I just want to commend you for it. We mightn't chat much about this, that, or the other, but even seeing how strong you and Chloe have been the past few years has kept me strong, and we've rubbed off on each other as a result in such a good way. So, fair play, Laura. He'd be so proud of you. Working as a primary school teacher, living up in Dublin. Fair play, Laura. And Mum, where do I start? I don't think there's enough words to describe the influence you've had on mine and the 2 girls' life over the past 4 years. You have held this household together. I'm telling you. By you even just being the happy, joyful, helpful, empathetic person day to day that you can be all the time, and always make time for other people no matter what, you've kept this house together. And like, yes, myself, Laura and Chloe have stayed strong, but we stayed strong because of you. And Michael McGowan would be so proud of you, and I know he's looking down with a smile on his face, saying how strong you were. He knew how strong you were. You were his rock, and it's safe to say you're our rock, because I really don't know what we do without you. Everything. I think the crack you bring to the house for me is is amazing. And I know you're probably going to say, with this video, I'm going to say, did you get a surprise? Well, no, Brian, no, I did now. No, honestly, I did, but I was thinking something now. When Geraldine sent me that picture, I was thinking there was something up. And Fanula, and just, I wasn't sure, but no. I did get it. I had a feeling now, as you typically would. But look, to each and every one of you guys, thank you for the last 4 years. Thank you for keeping it together, because the effect you've had on me as the man of the house has been amazing, and you've helped me to live my life and get on with things from what has happened. Because if I seen you struggling, I'd struggle, and I haven't seen that. I've seen you've been so strong. So guys, fair play to you. So guys, I'll stop rambling on now, and Molly as well, yourself. Here's a video of Dad's fondest memories. I hope you enjoy it. I thoroughly did. So guys, enjoy.
Hello Anne and Brian and Laura and Chloe. Just want to say that I have known Michael since 1983, and at that stage we worked together in NCF. Michael used to work for about 9 months of the year, and he'd go to America for 3 months of the summer, and he'd come back then. I remember at the start he was driving a Volkswagen Beetle car. It was red orangey colour. It was his father's car. So that's my first memories of Michael back in 1983. So we worked together in NCF for a number of years. I suppose over that time we became close friends, and as time went on we kind of got to know each other better and became closer friends. And we had some great times together. We went on trips abroad, trips around this country, to football matches, to ploughing matches, to all sorts of shows and everything. We went to England, to Spain, to Germany, to Bulgaria, to Czechoslovakia, and it was all great times. And I suppose the memories I have of all those trips was all the fun and all the laughter we had while we were away. So there were fun times, great times, and great memories of Michael. I remember on one occasion in Prague, the day before we were due to come home, Michael decided he wanted to buy a coat for Anne. So myself and himself went into a ladies' boutique in Prague. There was 2 girls working in the shop. It was quiet at the time. There was 2 girls there. So Michael looked at the coat rails, and the 2 shop assistants didn't have any English, and we didn't have any Czechoslovakian. So we had to kind of communicate through sign language. And Michael picked out a coat anyway that he thought would be suitable for Anne. So he went and asked one of the girls to fit it on. So one girl offered to fit it on, but of course Michael said no, he'd prefer if the other girl fitted it on, because the other girl was shy and he thought he'd knock more fun out of the shy one than the more forward one. So anyway, she fitted it on and did a twirl for him and all this sort of thing. And then he said, well, my wife is a little bit taller, so could you kind of stretch up a little bit? So she did that. And then he said, my wife is a little bit thinner, could you kind of squeeze in a little bit? So she did that. And then he said, my wife holds her head up very high, can you do that? So she did that. And after a few other manoeuvres anyway, she just shook her head and couldn't take any more of these positions, and she just burst out laughing, and the other girl burst out laughing, and myself and Michael burst out laughing, and we were, I suppose, 4 of us laughing for about 5 minutes. And even though they didn't understand our language and we didn't understand their language, the one thing we had in common is that we could all laugh at the funny situation that Michael had created. So anyway, he thanked the girl and he bought the coat and brought it home. And so that was just one of the things I remember. I mean, there are several of them, and several funny occasions we had. But I know Michael was very proud of his family, and he was very proud of Anne and Brian and Laura and Chloe, and I know he'd be very proud of today looking down on you. Brian and Laura has gone on and got their degrees and is now out in the workplace working, and Chloe is about to do her leaving cert soon, and we'll be going to college after that. So I know he'd be very, very proud of how you're getting on. And I suppose, you're a credit to him, and he'd be very pleased about that. But he'd be especially pleased with Anne. I know he was very grateful to Anne for the way she looked after him in the last few difficult years of his life. And he'd be very pleased looking down and seeing the way that you have looked after the family in the last 4 years, how brave you were and how courageous you were. And, I think you kept the show on the road through good days and bad days. And I think you're a great example to your 3 kids, and indeed a great example to all of us, who is looking in and seeing what you have done and how you have handled the situation over the last 4 years. I always enjoyed going into McGowan's house, into Michael when he was there, and having a chat with him and going through various situations that happened during the week, and always enjoyed those chats. And I still enjoy going into McGowan's and meeting Anne and whatever rest of the family is there. Sometimes when I go in, I might get the bottom of a bottle of red wine. If there was a glass left in the bottle, at the end of the bottle, I'd get it. And if Anne was on the last glass herself, she might make tea or coffee for me or something. But anyway, I enjoyed the chats. And while Michael brought me away to various countries, and I know you haven't brought me to Bulgaria or to Czechoslovakia or any place like that in the way that Michael did, but nevertheless, I enjoy your company and enjoy the chats and going in as often as I can. And but anyway, there are some of the memories of Michael. And I enjoyed his company and his friendship immensely. He was a great friend of mine. He looked after me and gave me advice several times. Indeed, he often told me that he taught me everything I know, which maybe he did. But anyway, there are the memories of Michael that I have. They're all very happy memories. I am delighted to have been part of his life, and I'm delighted to have been a friend of his, and it was an honour and a privilege to have been a friend of Michael's.
Hello, Anne, Brian, Laura and Chloe. Remembering Michael on this special occasion. Michael and myself had so many good times together. And Michael meant a lot to me as a friend. We travelled the States in 1990 for 3 months. We went over there. Michael had work arranged, nothing for me. Michael went off to work with Bob English, and he said to Bob, "I have another Irish guy over with me. I'm going to bring him in with me." Bob says, "But I have no work for him." "But I'm going to bring him in anyway," says Michael. So we went along the first day and we worked away for the day. And Michael says to Bob, "What do you think?" "Well," he says, "bring him tomorrow too and we'll see how things go." And we worked for the next 2 months every day and really enjoyed the work there. On one funny occasion, on a larger site later on, we met this big hunky American guy with tattoos all over, and on the top of his right shoulder he had the tattoo Evelyn. And Michael said, "Steve, who is Evelyn?" "That is my goddamn first wife," he said. And he says, "Life's a bitch and then you marry one." But it didn't deter myself and Michael. Both of us came back home to Ireland and got married later on. We had so many fun days on those trips. We partied in Boston and New York. Michael was with me the night I met Bridget, and of course Michael always claimed that he set me up for life with my future wife. But I'm not sure that was altogether true, because I think I met Bridget when Michael was in the toilet. And I think I had enough of an impression made on her when he came back that anything he was going to say wasn't going to deter her. And as things went then, of course, later on, Michael was my best man the day I got married. And I suppose best man was very appropriate for Michael, because Michael thought he was best at everything, be it snooker, golf, tennis or whatever. But he didn't always have his own way, and sometimes I let him know that he was second best. But in hindsight, looking back on our friendship, it was wonderful. I could never see Michael growing old. He was always like myself, young at heart, full of devilment and mischievous. In our times meeting, as families came together, grew fewer and fewer, naturally enough, because of other commitments. But every time we met, the old friendship renewed itself like it was always there. And I remember the times playing snooker in the embassy, and we would exchange stories of our families and how proud he was of you and Brian, Laura and Chloe. And he always made it known that you were so important in his life. Looking in from the outside, Anne, I'd just like to acknowledge how strong a character and a woman you are, and indeed to you, Brian, Laura and Chloe too, for your unity as a family through Michael's illness and untimely passing and later in life. I think you're all a legacy to Michael, and what a legacy that is.
1975 Connacht football final.
Dad, you're not going to get it.
Hi Anne, Brian, Laura and Chloe. Jerry asked me to say a few words, and I have a story about Michael, and I had many stories, but I have one particular good story. In the early 2000s, Michael was the captain of our work society, golf society, and I won his prize. And I have his prize, it's in our sitting room and hallway this last 20 years. And it never got broke or anything. And our lads were small, and you'd think that it should be smashed. Until a neighbour came in, and he decided to play with it. And he broke it. And I fixed it up again, and I put it back into its place. I'll show you the little man. He's a little golfer with a set of golf clubs. And I think it was a lovely prize. It was a very unusual prize. But I always thought it lovely. And I minded it. Oh. The little golf clubs were smashed. But you can see it there. I got it back together. That's my little story. I'd like to share. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Hello, Anne, Chloe, Laura and Brian, and happy Michael's anniversary. I know it's an awful thing to say, but I have great and very fond memories of Michael and the hooliganism around Christmas Eve night and the aftermath then on Christmas Day and over and back to each other's houses, and Michael would be always out the camera and dressing up in tights, and he liked to dress up in tights alright, you know, but yeah, no, I have very fond memories of him at Christmas, and they're my best memories, I suppose, because I was away for a good while and I used to come back at Christmas, and it was always great crack, and he always had the best belly laugh of the neighbourhood, and I think it's I don't know, it's a testament to you all, how well you've been since and how hard you've worked, and you're a powerhouse, and fair play to you, you know, you're so strong, and I really admire you. And Brian, Chloe and Laura, you've been absolutely wonderful. You've been a joy to watch growing up, and he'd be so proud of you all, and I just want to wish you a happy anniversary anyway, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Well, hello, how are you? Michael McGowan, my brother. There were 6 of us in family, 4 boys, 2 girls. I was the youngest boy, and Michael was the youngest of my 3 eldest brothers, and I suppose the one with which I would have had most in contact or engagement with when I was younger. My younger memories of Michael would always be, I suppose, primarily farm related and activities around the farm, although he was much better at it than I ever was, and much more interested in it. I couldn't stand it, but times of bringing in the cocks of hay and the buckrake, or lifting bales onto trailers and stuffing them into the back of sheds, it was always a bit of crack. And also I remember as a young child, Michael bringing me to Leitrim Hill, where we had hazelnut trees, and we'd pick hazelnuts and put them into bags and bring them home. And I actually remember Michael putting them into smaller, separate bags, and he brought them to school. So I suspect he sold them at school to his classmates. So I suppose that was an early sign of his industrial thinking and his salesman type thinking as well. Also, he used to we used to pick apples in Jim's in Polesborough, the orchard there. He never got opportunity to sell those, as his mother always commandeered those to make apple pies or apple sauce. In later years, Michael and I never ever lived in each other's pockets. That's not an indication of how we got on. We got on, but with a mutual respect. We disagreed profoundly on lots and lots of things, and that was healthy. But I know that we agreed on things that were important, and I knew that whenever required, Michael is always there for me, as I hope he knew I was there for him. So, and you've done a wonderful job in holding the family together, and Laura, Brian and Chloe. Michael, I'm very, very proud of you. You've turned into 3 fine young adults. We're all very proud of you, and Michael is too. Take care.
Hello to the McGowns from Vietnam. It's hard to believe that it's 4 years since Michael left us, but he's definitely left a lot of memories with a lot of people, and I definitely have a few anyways, be it from the early days in Coolbeg with St. John's, Michael doing these crazy stretches with the belly hanging out and just talking shite and having the crack. But I suppose the best one that I'd have was probably, I think it was a Christmas a couple of years ago, and myself and Gooch, we were working late, and Michael picked us up from work, and obviously the two of us were hungover, ready for bed, and Michael spots these 2 lads walking into a pub and tells us, "Oh, I know them from Kerry when I was a young lad, I played football with them, I scored goal." I'm just there thinking, Michael, would you give over, get us home, I want to go to bed. And he whips out the phone and starts calling these fellas. I'm there thinking, me and Gooch are thinking, this fella is definitely not on the phone to anyone, he's bringing us home now, what's the story? Anyways, he brings us over to Foley's pub, throws us in, we're thinking, what is going on here, why is this fella? And then these 2 bucks that Michael says he knows are in there shouting, "Michael McGowan, good to see you." And me and Gooch are like, brilliant. So we rock in, have a few pints. Michael there's, every time you have a lush of a pint, he's buying another one. You can't get through them. Just crack is good. He's chatting to everyone, having fun. And then I'm thinking, me and Gooch are looking at each other, what's going on with this fella tonight? He's buzzing, like, you know. And Gooch goes up and asks him, "Dad, what's the story? Like, you're in, like, what's happening? You're mad tonight." And Michael looks around the room. He has a hander, and he nudges Gooch. He goes, "Brian, I sold a bit of land today," and then proceeded to take out a big wad of 50s, and I was like, this man is gas, this is brilliant. And it just summed him up really. It was really, really good crack, and the points continued on that night. But yeah, that was probably one of the best and most recent anyways with him. But yeah, I'd just like to say, Anne, Chloe, Laura and Brian, you've been so strong over the past couple of years. Anne, I don't know how you've kept that house standing, especially with all that's going on, and us all. We've had plenty of nights up there, late nights with you, and you've got us up for work the next morning. So yeah, keep safe and stay strong. And this one's for Big Mike up there and ye back home. See you.
Hi everybody, it's obviously Mike and Mags here. Just a quick hello, and I know it's hard to believe it's actually 4 years since Michael's passing, but we always remember him and remember him fondly. One particular day I remember in Bulgaria, where we were sitting out by the pool. We were just, Tommy and Deirdre and myself and Mags were just sitting out, and next thing the door in the balcony opened up, and who comes out? Michael, in a big wave. He was looking out over his manor. I think that was the day we christened him the Lord Mayor, but in hindsight I think we should have christened him the Pope, the way he just stood there and waved. Yeah, it's been a sad few years for you, but I know between the whole lot of you that you will have helped each other, and because you're a very united family, I know you will have helped each other get through it all, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
And I was so happy to meet you last year when we met inside in town. It was great, and I could see that you have been such a tower of strength behind the whole family, and they must be so proud of you, and you are so proud of the three lads. It's just so, it's lovely to hear, and please God we'll meet you in Bulgaria soon. It'll be lovely. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay, so it's Michael's 4th anniversary, and this is a lovely idea that Brian came up with. I've been thinking over the last few days, and I can't pinpoint any one story. I suppose I just like to say how much Michael meant to us, and our lives with Michael. I met Michael when I was 14, so he has been a massive part of my life for 30 years. From when he moved in, there was just an automatic bond. There was a huge bond with himself and Dad, which was so lovely. But it developed between all of us over time. Like the early years, oh my God, we used to have such crack. I suppose the main things, Diagon and McGowan's, were the Christmases. And the madness that went on, and the crack and the fun of Christmas Eve and Christmas mornings. I loved Christmas mornings because going over to your house, to Michael and that stupid camcorder, he used to wreck our heads with that bloody camcorder. And he's recorded, oh my God, I used to sound like a bloody itinerant or something. But anyhow, going over and having a few drinks in the morning, having the crack with ye, the kids, and Michael, and it was just, I suppose it was nearly our youth. It was a huge amount of our youth was the McGowans. Later years then, when we were out and about and going out to nightclubs and stuff, oh my God, he used to have such crack with you. Like he'd just come out. Like I'm not saying he wasn't out every weekend with us, but at every big event he just seemed to be there, or he'd appear, and he'd just blend into my friends like as if he knew them, and they just got such crack out of him. This larger than life person coming in, they just couldn't get over the relationship between us and the McGowans. Nobody could. I suppose as life went on and later on, my best memories were probably, my favourite memory actually of Michael was we had just moved into Ferndale again, renting. And Michael came down to the house to me one night. We were only in 4 weeks. Emmett was gone out on a Christmas party. Don't worry, nothing happened then. And Michael came down just came in to say hello, but ended up, I never drank wine up to this point. He made me I'd gotten wine in for Christmas for whoever, I don't know what it was for, but of course he made me start drinking wine. He drank 3 bottles and I drank nearly 1. But what I love about that night is he sat down with me and we just talked. We just talked normal. There was none of the messing that we'd be at when we'd be out, none of the crack. It was just us, just chatting. He told me about his younger years, he told me about college, he told me about just we talked about everything, about ye, about the kids, about what ye do, what we do, and it was probably one of my fondest nights with Michael, and it was boring to ye, but to hear about it, but it was one of my favourite nights. I know I've said to you, Anne, before about that night, and he was in such lovely form. It was just one of the nicest nights I had with him. He used to as well come out to me and draw my hair. Of course, he wouldn't tell me he was coming, he'd just appear. And I used to love that because it was just myself and himself. And sometimes with Michael, it was sometimes nice to get him on your own, because when there was people around, we were all mad and we were all blah, blah, blah. So it was lovely to actually just sit and have a cup of coffee with him and chat on our own. Or like individual stories. I mean, there were so many of them. I can't even come up with anyone. Silly things like, I'm sure you heard about the time Etna got stung in the arse by a bee and Michael sucked it out. Yeah, fair play to him. He used to try and help me breastfeed Grace. I suppose in the last few years is the bond with the children. He got such a kick out of the kids, which was lovely. I suppose one thing I'd like to, it's not sad, I don't mean it to be sad, but a big thing that I see, and it's with ye kids now, the three of ye, the age you're at, and how you turned out so well. And I just look back at how much we had with Michael at that stage in our lives, and that I'm not going to say I don't mean it as dramatic as you're missing out, but I just love to have seen him with ye now. I think he would have really, really enjoyed it. He would have been out with you, he would have wrecked your heads, he would have mortified you, but you would have got used to it, and your friends would have got used to him and having the crack. And as the years would go on, you'd eventually see and appreciate him for who he was and for the fun he was. But I'm trying to think, there's so many different... Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to opt out of this one now. I'm going to go... This is an easy escape for me, because you young ones are great with phones. I'm not that great with these. And going on camera. Great, Jennifer, will you sing me out here? Come over here. It's Michael's 4th anniversary, right? So I want you to stand there, right, and sing. But just sing something. Jennifer, you choose the song. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3.
Nella fantasia, invito un mondo questo, dove tutti vivano in pace e onestà. Lo sangue termine, ci sono sempre liberi.
Hello Anne, Brian, Laura, Chloe and Molly. Thinking of ye today on Michael's 4th anniversary on the 1st of February. You're all doing really, really good, and Michael will be so proud of ye all. Laura, a teacher, Chloe gone off to college, Brian's got his big boy job, and Anne, you're a tremendous mother and a great rock, a role model, everything. And one of my first meetings with Michael, I remember him coming over, his big hands, and sort of saying, "You're Aaron's mother." And I says, "Yeah, I am." And he says, he had one hell of a game, make sure he keeps it up. And you know what? He was just a lovely, lovely, gentle soul. And I think of you often, and we're here whenever you want us. Big hugs.
Hi, McGowns. Hope all is well. Thanks, Brian, for having me talk. I have known Michael all my life. Michael was very part of my life growing up. He was neighbour, they were friends. We would spend maybe Friday nights over there. We didn't have television, they had television before we had, so we used to watch the Late Late Show or whatever. So we've just known Michael all my life. We've gone to school together-ish. I remember coming down from school, and there was coming down from the crossroads where we got off the bus, and there was a big tree in Matty's field. Now this tree was massive, and we never noticed it, only in the summertime when the leaves were on it. And Michael always went into a rendition as we were passing it of, "See the tree, how big it's grown, friend it hasn't been so long, it wasn't big." And then there'd be all the crack going to dances where there'd be maybe 12 of us in a car, and you couldn't go further enough away because the fun was going and coming. To be singing songs, and Michael would be singing some rendition of Noreen Ball or some Camogie. Not that awful long ago, myself and Anne and Michael and Chloe and Sarah, we went to Dublin. We went to the Voice of Ireland, and it was just crap from start to finish, and Michael was in fantastic form. I don't think he had planned on coming in. I think he planned on letting us off and then going off to do a walk with a friend of his. However, he came in, and he was the only man there. He was organising us all. There was a whole load of other people, women from Sligo, and he was organising us all and getting tickets for the night, and the crack was just mighty. And at one stage, Anne went for a coffee, and he said, "Right, when Anne comes back," he said, "you tell her that he and Ian came down from stage and said that if Kilisa wins, we were hoping that she would, you have to go up and run up, we all have to run up on stage and congratulate her." So I was given the job of telling her this, and Anne, of course, believed me. And she went, "Oh my God, what are we going to do, Michael, at the stage here?" Because he had planned on going walking, he had an old jacket on, it was an old NCF jacket, and she said, "You have to take that off, you can't walk like that." And he said, "Oh no, it'll be fine, shouldn't be advertisement for NCF." She said, "I'm not going to look, you can go up with them." So anyways, with that, we all just burst into laughing. She nearly killed us. There was a lot of nice sides to Michael. Michael was full of good nature. He was very caring, and he was very good to go to if you were looking for advice. If you were ever in trouble, he was your man. He was genuinely a really good, nice guy. The time I was sick, he was just lovely. He was to me and caring. But most of it's funny actually. I was thinking of him only not that awful long ago. We were coming home from just prior to Christmas, and we were coming home from town, and she was just there at the Ulster Bank, the statue of Yeats. There was some guy hanging out of it with he was dressed up as Santa, just screaming at everybody, happy Christmas and all the rest. And I immediately thought of Michael. He would have enjoyed the likes of him. In fact, that's what we kind of, them are the people we need in our lives, just people who are fun. I often wonder what he would make of COVID. I'm not sure how he'd take to it. I don't think he'd be a great man to be locked down or locked in. But the most important people to him were his family. He adored his family. He was very, very proud of you all and all your achievements. And of course, you were his rock. And I have to say, I admire you so, so much. And I think you're a brilliant person, and you're just absolutely, I suppose, I'm just proud to call you my friend. That's it. Cut.
Unfortunately, we never really got to know Michael as well as we would have liked to. But me and you as well, ma'am, we feel like we definitely have, with all the amount of stories you guys always say, which is always so nice to hear, because they're always positive stories about how mad he was or how funny he was, and you're always all talking about him.
Oh, Anne, since the day I met you, and I was very lucky to have met Michael, it's only a short time that I knew him, but he was such a presence. What did he call me, Ella? The mad dog. The mad dog.
Something like that.
But I met him, and you brought me in to see the sheep.
Lambs.
The lambs. And I think since then, Anne, we have had a great friendship. And I think most of all, we bonded over our love of our dogs. Well, you loved the fact, mine was a pedigree. And we kind of found that out when, was it Molly? I asked you, one of the first phone calls was to ask you where you got Molly groomed. And God love you were, no, she doesn't need to get groomed because she doesn't go into the water, which is for a retriever. And anyway, we won't go there. And I have always felt, ever since I met you, and ever since Michael's passing, he is such a huge presence still. And it's lovely when you go into your house, it's always a positive vibe, and the pictures of him, and it's still such a happy home. And that's down to you, Anne, and your 3 great kids. It's such a strong family.
And I mean that. It's exceptional to see. And I know that Ella values, because we came down and Ella knew no one, and the friendship that she has with Chloe.
Obviously, Chloe, you are my bestest friend in the whole world. And I just think for you to always be so funny and just so you, especially with everything you've been through, it's so inspirational, really.
It really is. It's a testament to the
definitely.
strong bond that you and Michael had, and his presence will never be gone. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
That I feel like, and I know Ella feels like we know him.
Especially, I remember you telling me a story, Chloe, about how he was like running away from place in California, and like he always was, as you said, like this mad, crazy person in the best of ways.
We were talking about him earlier, and Ella said he told a ghost story on the
Yeah,
night of
I
your
remember. Do you remember
birthday?
we went camping for your birthday in first year, and we were all up in the tent out the field in your back garden, and he was telling this story about some ghost woman. I remember he was just making it up.
You came back not long after he moved here, Ella. You were telling us the story that he told Chloe when they went away.
They ended up in some mafia house.
No, what was the boxer? Do you remember that? Was
Oh my god, do you remember that?
Seen the boxer,
And
seen
it was
the
like
box.
a man got into the car and it was like, it's none of your fucking business or something.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
telling some story. I remember that actually.
Yeah, anyway, look it.
But
we are thinking of you.
Always are. Love you all
Today.
very much.
It's a very
such a
sad
happy
time.
family
But
as well.
yeah,
Very-
although it's such a sad time, there's also, it's such a positive message. What was left behind is now so positive, and that's because of him and because of you, Anne. And we're thinking of it, and we're just so sorry we can't be there.
Yeah, I wish I could be there with you, but we love you very much.
Mind yourself.
Hello to all of the gowns. We are thinking of you all today on Michael's 4th anniversary, and we want to say thanks to Brian for asking us to do this. We have so many memories of Michael, and we feel so lucky to have them over the last few years.
So my favourite memory would definitely be the day Michael dragged myself and Laura to a farm. I think it was 5th year or 6th year, doing ag science. I don't know for what reason. I think both of us were in white Converse on a farm, lashing rain. Anyways, Michael brought us through the farm, showed us everything, and then on the way home was like, do you know what, girls, I'm bringing you to the nearest mart. So I don't even know where we were, but anyway, it brought us to the nearest mart. I think me and Laura were the only females in the building. There was
I'm probably the youngest too.
Oh, by about 50 years,
Yeah.
no offence.
Yeah.
And some man actually took our photo because we were the only females there.
Did he?
Yeah, so weird.
I didn't know that.
And yeah, it was just so funny. And then in the middle of it, Michael turned around and was like, guys, this is so boring. And me and Laura were like, yeah, like why are we here? And then he was like, do you know what, we'll have some fun. Took out his phone and just started ringing like everyone in the mart, like people up selling their cows, and Michael was just ringing them, or they're all looking at him like, why are you ringing me? Like we didn't get home that night until like 11:30 from this mart. I did like anyway, we've had so many memories with Michael. We're so happy to have had them, and that was just my favourite one.
Oh, that is so funny. If I was to think of mine, I would say it will probably be the day that myself and Laura moved up to Dublin for the first time. Well, first of all, the day started out a little bit disastrous. The McGowans were in their car, and myself and Mum were in our car, and we're driving on the M4, everything going fine, and Mum's car broke down. And she started panicking and was trying to get in contact with roadside assistance, and I just texted Laura just about the situation, and bearing in mind, the McGowans were actually ahead of us.
I could just see Michael being like, we're coming to get
They were ahead of us, and I hadn't said to Laura about coming back to collect us or give us a hand or anything. And then we put in what felt like a few minutes. They were beside us, came to the rescue. And their car had, it was Michael and Anne and Chloe and Laura, and all of Laura's stuff. And bearing in mind, we were in first year, and like, you know, when you're in first year, you bring everything with you.
Every single clothes.
And in my car, it was myself and Mum and all of my stuff. So it seemed like impossible at the idea to put in 6 people, belongings of 2 first years, all into the one car. But Michael McGowan made it work. And off we went then, 6 people, all the stuff in the car, up to Marino. And when we got up there, we were excited and giddy and unpacking everything, and there was just giddiness. And I can remember Michael just was as cool as a cucumber. And we had do you remember our apartment in first year? We had a
all the
window.
windows.
And he was sitting inside the kitchen window and was looking out and was people spotting. And oh my god, we were unpacking, and I remember coming into the kitchen and he was pointing out the characters that had been roaming around the campus, and like as in so
Who your
many
new friends
college.
are going to be.
Yes, but like I feel like there's so many characters around a college campus, but he made sure to point them out. But he didn't just point them out; he like was reenacting them as well. Whether that was like he had a tea towel on his head at one point, and he was calling himself a Muslim paddy. And then there was another person, I don't know if they worked on the campus, but he was like reenacting their walk or something. I can't remember all the ins and outs of it, but all I can remember is we were weak with laughter. And like when I think of that day, I think it just
This is him in a nutshell.
it just ties them up, yeah. Someone who's so kind and helpful and a big heart and just full of great crack.
Well, can you remember at the open day in DCU though?
Yeah.
And Michael brought us all, me, you, and Emily?
No, maybe. No, yeah.
And I remember going around DCU campus with Michael, and he was just going up to all these randomers being like,
Yeah.
do you know Gooch?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
we were just following him behind, like no problem, like walked into the campus, accommodation, like who knows Gooch? Like I was like, what is going
mad
on?
to make connections, and we were just in sixth year, like
breaking into
Yeah.
the like DCU campus.
so nervous.
Oh, but no, we've had the best memories, and we're so
Yeah.
happy that we could share them.
Yes.
And
we're thinking of you all today, and then fast forward 4 years, and here we are, and Laura has graduated from college and has her first job as a teacher, and I've no doubt that Michael's looking down and is feeling very, very proud of her. And we were talking before this, and we were saying how strong, Laura, you've been and how brave you've been, but not only that, that if either of us or any of us had issues over the last few years with anything, Laura has still managed to have
always been there.
Yeah,
Regardless of what was going on.
Yeah, regardless of what was going on, she has been such a great friend. So we feel very grateful to have her as a friend, and yeah, we're thinking of you all today.
Hopefully we can have a drink for Michael in a few months.
Yes, yeah, and we can all have a big drink soon.
A big drink together.
Okay, so we
wish you the best. And
Yeah.
thanks so much for listening. And again, thanks to Brian for organising.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Just a couple of words here from Monaghan. First of all, I think with great admiration, pride and love when I think of Michael McGowan. I also want to say that Anne, Brian, Laura and Chloe were so important to him. How he loved them so much, and what a rock Anne and the family have been. About 5 or 6 years ago here one day, Michael rings Catherine. How's himself doing? Oh, she says he's only middling. She says after the operation he's gone a bit down on himself. He's in bed. I'll be up in half an hour. Half an hour, he lands. Up to the bedroom. Get up, you fucker, you. What are you lying in bed for in the middle of the day? I'm going to self-feed. I'm going to self-feed all around Monaghan, and you're coming with me. I said, Michael, I have no interest. I said, I'm finished with all that stuff. I have no interest. Come on, you'll buy me the dinner. I said, I'll do that. So I went to the town anyway, into the Hillgrove, and geez, great place here. I didn't know this hotel was here at all. Oh, I said, sure, it's the Shears. I said, the Hillgrove was built by the Brady's fellas that had the marks. And I said, then Quinn had it, and I says, now Amelia has it. And I says, it's good out there. Jeez, it is, good feed, great feed, great feed. Right, he says, we're heading out now. He says, I'm going all around Glashloch and Heavy Vale and out near the border, and I'm going to self-feed. I'm going to put Connacht Goal on the map here in Monaghan. So I says, Michael, now, a lot of people out there know me. No acting the bollocks now. I says, I don't want to be embarrassed. Not at all, I'm not embarrassed. Would I ever do that? I says, Michael. So anyway, we goes out the road about 2 miles anyway, comes to this crossroads anyway, and there's a beautiful herd of Frisian cows. And maybe 100, 120 cows there. And he says, who owns them cows? And he says, that's Wilfred Crook. Wilfred Crook, which hasn't ever heard the name Crook before. Crook be name and Crook be later. So, straight into the yard. Whereupon Wilfred comes up from the machinery shed. Well, how are you doing? what he is after. Michael McGowan, Connacht Gold, up with the business card. How are you for feed? I have my head tucked down into my belly because I know that Crook knows me. And the woman, Mrs. Crook, knows me even better. Says I, what will he say now? He says, Wilfred, this is my sales manager, Johnny Kilvary. He says, he's a Roscommon man, Kilvary. Maybe you knew some of the Kilvarys in your time. No, I didn't know any of them. Well, I says, what are you using at the moment? What do you think them cows are? Your grand cows you have? He says, we're on an 18% cereal. Well, I'm your man. He says, I can sell you a crunch, the best of cereal crunch, 20%. And I'll do it at about 230 a ton. He says, sure, we're shareholders in Town of Monaghan. Shareholders in Town of Monaghan all our lives. And you see, there's a wee kickback when you're a shareholder. Well, Michael says, I understand. Well, he says, listen, I'll leave you the card. And he says, I'll give you a shout in about 6 weeks. I'm going to hit him a 6-week cycle. Out the yard. Jesus. What do you think of that? I says, what did I think of what? He says, I am scandalised. How would you be scandalised? I said, sure, that boy knew me and you called me Kilvary. Sure, to Kilgariff, there's not much of a difference. Anyway, sure, I took me bacon anyway and I went way home anyway, out to the house anyway. Chatted and talked anyway. You know, I think we sang a song or two after another belted tea and sandwiches. But when I think of Michael singing, I think of one song in particular. I'll give you a wee part. Oh, the summer time is coming, and the leaves are gently blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows around the bloomin' heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pick wild mountain thyme all around the bloomin' heather. Will you go, lassie, go? From Jared and Catherine, to you, Anne, and the 3 children.
Hello, McGowans. 4 years, can't believe it. It kind of went fast, but I'm sure it went slow at the same time. Anyway, I just want to share, I suppose you all know what my most favourite memory of Michael is, and that is when he gave me a hickey on the ass. Time in the bee sting, when the day after, it was at Grace's christening, and I was standing outside the door talking to Anne, hungover, and I was wearing Mam's extra large pyjamas, so there were like balloons on me. And a bee just kind of made its way up the leg, and next he got a stung on the arse. And Michael brings me in, throws me over the couch, my arse, pulls down the trousers. He sure was always trying to get into my trousers, you know. And next thing he sucked the bee sting out of my arse. So the kids, I think Chloe and all that were there, and they were just dying laughing. So then I went out then to draw my hair. Fanula was living out there at the time, and you know, I had to go out and show everybody my nice hickey. So that was one of my favourite stories, and I think the other one that really stands out was the morning of my wedding. I couldn't get into the feckin' shower in our house. There was too much traffic, and I decided to go over to McGowan's and have a nice hot shower. Well, I think you all know from what Michael gets up to in the shower. He comes in with a bucket of water, cold water, and throws it all over me. But he was a monkey. But I know he wasn't a saint, and sometimes there was tough times with Michael, but all in all, he was a great person. I just, you know, he's a huge miss. And, you know, I think I always remember Michael with children, and I think that's the biggest thing, is the way he could relate to kids, and the way he taught. He should have been a teacher, and he was wasted. But anyway, he was a great man. He sold my car for me, my Yaris, wheeling and dealing, as you know, snow to Eskimos. Then I suppose the other thing to say is I think just as a family, you just united, and you're such... Anne, I don't know how you went through it all. You just held it all together, and the children were just so great, and I think the honesty that you have with each other, probably there was no lying, there was truth, was always there, probably got you all through it, and will still always get you through it. And just to know I'm thinking about you today, and always thinking about Michael, you know, every now and again he'll pop it every time I see a bee. Anyway, I'll go and I'll leave you to it, and hopefully COVID will be over and we'll get to see you soon, within the next 6 months, I'm hoping. Alright, take care, bye bye.
When I hear the name Michael McGowan, every time what pops into my head is when I just started becoming friends with Brian first, and we called up to the house one day, and sure, we just got the nickname Gooch. So we called up and Michael answered the door and we're like, oh, is Gooch there? And he goes on a big rant to us. I christened him Brian for a reason. You will call him Brian and nothing other than Brian. And that was grand. And we're like, oh, Michael, sure, we're only having a crack. And he goes, no, his name is Brian. So that was grand. So then we went at him again. It was like, oh, is Brian there? Next thing you know, Michael turns around to shout up the stairs. And all that comes out of his mouth is, Gooch! The lads are downstairs here waiting for you. We're like, Michael, I thought you were only allowed to call him Brian. He goes, I can call him whatever I want. He's my son, I'll call him what I want. But yeah, no, that is a memory that has stuck with me since it happened, and it's just so fun. It's one of the many stories you could tell about Michael. It's mad to think it's been 4 years since he passed, and to see Anne, Chloe, Laura and Brian himself come together like they did at such sad and awful times for them. Michael be looking down on them, very proud of them, and will be glad to see how they've fared out over this tragic time. But they deserve to be proud of themselves. They've made Michael proud anyway, 100%.
Hello everybody. Michael's 4th anniversary is coming up and I think about him often. I have one very happy memory of Michael. I have many, but I have one very happy one. And that's when Michael and I would go a bit daft and we used to perform The Laughing Policeman, the song The Laughing Policeman together. You know that song. And I can't let this opportunity pass without saying how much I admire you all, and especially about Anne and how she kept the flag flying. And I know it couldn't have been easy for her. Anne, you are one of my heroes. Oh, I forgot to say that this is Nuala Dignan across the road. And by the time the COVID is over and this is all recorded, I might be dead. I'll be 80 at Christmas. Bye-bye.
This is definitely going to be one of the shortest videos you get, and I can even hear Em McGowan saying, how did you get Norma to do that? But I suppose normally at this time of year we'd be coming together and we'd be thinking of Michael and remembering Michael all together, and obviously we can't do that now this year. But I suppose all that I'm going to say is, and I know it doesn't need to be said, but what I'm going to say is that from the first day that my dad told me I had a cousin living in Ferndale, and for the next 15 years it was a privilege, and it continues to be a privilege, to have been able to call Michael my cousin and my friend. And whilst I have loads of lovely memories of Michael, it's probably better that I don't start rehashing them or and blubbering, and sure, who wants to see that? One of the things though that I do hold dear is the regard that Michael had for my dad, and similarly the regard my dad had for Michael. And so I really cherish the times on Christmas when Michael would call to Dad, and literally Dad's eyes would light up when the doorbell would go, because he'd know it was Michael coming, and the two of them would sit there and have a drink and rehash things that happened in Tubbercurry. So at this time of year, when I'm thinking of them, I think both of them together, because obviously both their anniversaries are in February, and I like to imagine them together with their heads stuck together, sitting, chatting like they would on Christmas Day. And that, I think, definitely is one of my fondest memories, because it's of two of, I would suppose, the most influential or most important male figures in my life that are both no longer with us. So, suffice to say, and just to say, I would always regard Michael as family, and you know that, I don't need to say it, but I'm saying it, you always regard it. And so similarly, I always regard you all as family, and I have to say, I admire you in the same way that Anne Hayes admires me going merely. But all joking aside, I do think that Michael would be extremely proud of the way that you have come through this so far, and how well you've all done, and especially you, Anne, because you have been so strong and looking after your family. And I know for a fact Michael will be so proud of you, and especially when the first time this is happening, hopefully we can come together, we can sit around and we can chat, and we can tell stories, and we can have everybody going and his memory alive.
So Brian, I've been thinking about this since you sent me the text on Friday night about what I could say about Michael and my thoughts and what memories I had. And to be honest with you, I lay in bed Friday night and I was just thinking about so many things, and I says, right, I don't know how I'd summarise it or get it done, because it's something that wouldn't come easy to me. But anyway, one of the stories, and I have many stories that I could tell about Michael, but one of the stories was going back to September the 5th, 2015. And Brian, you were part of it. And it was the day that myself, yourself, Michael and Ross went to Dublin to Croke Park. It was the weekend. And it was a double header. Dublin were playing Mayo in an All-Ireland semi-final replay. And the following day was the hurling final. So we says we go for the weekend and we take all in. So, of course, we went to Dublin and we got there, and you were just starting college. I'm not too sure what college it was, to be honest with you. Whether it was DCU or whatever. But we were going to stay in there that night. So we went to Croke Park and we walked from Croke Park after the match. We walked back to the college. So you had rooms organised. You were in one. Michael was in another, and myself and Ross were in another one. So the usual thing, we were tired after the walk, and we says we'd have a rest, but we'd meet up at 8 o'clock and we'd head into town to get something to eat and whatever that night. So Michael was in the room right across the corridor from me, and at 8 o'clock, sure enough, I went in, knocked on the door, and he was ready to go. I think I rang him first, but he was ready to go anyway. So he opened the door. And what had he on him? Only the full monkey suit. Now I have a picture of it from that minute, and Brian, you'll be attaching the picture to this video. Or show it afterwards, because there's a super picture of Michael done up with the monkey suit, and I'm laughing as heartily as possible. So anyway, we were dressed normal, sensible I suppose, but anyway, we were no monkey suits anyway. So we headed into town and we ended up in Timber Bar. I went into a bar, and it was Saturday night, the place was packed. And of course, Michael stood out with the monkey suit, but that's just Michael. And everybody was looking at this man because he was totally distinguished. He had the beard and all, and he was just looked the part. And we had, everyone was looking at him. We had great crack anyway. We're in the pub and we're in and out, and you go out onto the street for a cigarette or whatever every now and again, and in again and out again. And this was about 1 o'clock in the morning at this stage. And next thing, Michael was standing out in the middle of the street, and it was packed. And next thing, everybody was looking at this guy in the monkey suit. And this homeless guy came up to Michael, looked at him and started, of course he was looking for money. So Michael did the usual thing that Michael would do, is put his arms around him and said, come here, tell me your story. What happened to you? What's going on in your life? How did it come that it came to this? And totally sincerely. And your man talked to Michael for about 5 or 10 minutes. And next thing, Michael took out a tenner and gave him a tenner. And your man was so thankful and whatnot, and we had a great bit of a laugh about it. And about 2 minutes later, another fella landed up to Michael. And he just looked up at him, and after about 10 seconds, there was no noise. Next thing, your man started roaring laughing. And Michael says, your man started laughing. And all he was looking for thought that Michael was going to hand another tenner to him. But Michael started laughing too, and he says, who sent you? He says, did your friend send you? He did, he says. There was no more tenners given out, but it was just typical Michael. It was, just the way he was. He was so good-natured, and listened to your man's story and had sympathy with him about the way that he finished up being homeless, and gave him a tenner, and sure, your man went off. Hopefully he got something to eat or something out of it, all right. But it was just that night Michael stood out like with the monkey suit on him, and it just suited him down to the ground. And I have the picture to go with that. And Brian, I'd send that on to you now as well. And that is the picture of that night. You should remember, Brian. It was in I think it was DCU. I'm not too sure where it was, but you'll remember it well. And that was just one of many instances that I had with Michael. I might share another few. Sure, we had another night that we were. One thing with Michael going back for years. I don't know how long this is going to record for. And the battery is low, but sure, I'll keep going for a while anyway. Years ago, myself and Michael, we were always big into the golf when things were back in the days. And we'd always go to mini golf outings and meet up, and it was always a bit of crack. And sure, when we were out there, one of the old times we used to meet up at the Forest Park Hotel in Boyle. That was our meeting point. That was when the Forest Park Hotel was out there. So we'd always meet up early in the morning, we'd hit off. It could be Dublin, it could be down to Kilkenny, it could be any place. But sure, we were out for the day and out for the crack, and sure, we'd play the golf, and after every golf outing we'd have food, and we'd have to dress up, and we'd always be dressed up well and go into the golf dinner and wait for everything to be finished, and then we'd head off home. And of course, when we got back to the Forest Park Hotel, that time there was always weddings in the Forest Park Hotel. And sure, more than likely it was a Friday night or something like that, and there'd always be a wedding on. When we get back to the Forest Park Hotel, it'd be about 11 o'clock or half 11 at night, but sure, it was always just the perfect time for the seconds in a wedding. And we'd be dressed up, and sure, the first thing was, sure, we'd park up, and sure, when we'd be changing the golf gear from one car to the other, sure, we said we'd go in and we'd see what was happening. And Michael always had just, like, the easiest thing in the world was to gate crash a wedding. Because he says, go in and whoever you'd be talking to, if it was somebody from the bride's side, well, you were on the other side, and vice versa. So no one would ever know whether you were at the wedding or not. But we'd always go into the Forest Park, and the seconds would be on, and we'd go in and we'd join the queue, and we'd have a good feed of sandwiches there, or cocktails, sausages, or whatever, and we'd have a few drinks. At that time, I didn't drink, but Michael would have. We'd have a bit of crack anywhere. We'd have tea or coffee, and we'd mix it for a while there we'd spend an hour in there, and it's best to crack, and then we'd call it a day, and Michael would head for Sligo and I'd head for home. But we did that several times, and it was we always got a great kick out of it. We'd always have a good crack. We'd have a great crack at it. Another day we were going to another outing. There was another golf outing it was fairly popular. It was at the Castle in Dublin. This is a very posh place, and we'd always look forward to our annual outing. And God rest Tony Farrell and God rest Herbie Boland. They were the two people that used to come with us to it. And again, we'd have great crack up there. But they were very posh, and Michael used to love talking in the taxis. When he went to walk into the place, he'd be saying good morning to everybody, good morning, good morning, good morning, and he'd be like that with them all, and everything grand. But anyway, we're playing golf this day, and we're playing with an older man. I'm sure we'd always have the crack was going good. And at the end of the golf, into the changing rooms, and we'd have a shower and all of that, and be ready, and of course dress up then for the dinner. And Michael would always be slagging me about the gel. I'd be using the gel in the hair and whatnot, and he always had a good head of hair, good long hair. But anyway, this day we were changing in the changing room, and next thing Michael says to me, Frank, give me the gel. So he went round the corner with the bottle of gel anyway. And about 3 or 4 minutes later, he came round the corner. I just remember now, he had long hair, his long hair. And he came round the corner, and the sight of it, and the hair was probably up to here with gel. Like, he just come up here now, there's no doubt about it, just up here. And he was an awful looking sight altogether. And he came round roaring laughing, and he went up to the old man they were playing golf with, and he says, well, what do you think now? He says, what do you think now? And your man just looked up at him. And I thought it was so funny. He says, you know what? He says, it took 10 years off you, he says. And Michael would go off roaring laughing, and as happy as could be that your man had this comment made, but into the dinner then, and he didn't give a hoot. Like, you know, the hair was up here, gelled up, like, and sure shit. Oh, God, it's just, we had such crack. But no, he never bothered him in the least. But we had so many great days out, great days and great nights, and great times away. And I came across some pictures last week, Brian, that I had from the time that we went to England to the Belfry playing golf. And I might take a few, see if I can take a few on this phone and send them to you. But I'm going to send on that picture of Michael in the monkey suit. And hopefully this will, I don't know whether this is still recording or not, and it's a bit long, far-fetched, but sure, look at, you can do what you like with it. And I could sit here all night talking about Michael. You know, it's hard to believe that tomorrow, 4 years, I got the phone call from Brendan. Seems like yesterday, and we miss him every day. Yeah, and sure, look, I know this is going to be hopefully a surprise for Anne and the girls and yourself, Brian, when you put it all together. It's a great idea, and I'm sure that you're going to have hours and hours of recordings that you're probably going to have to video or edit a good bit of them out and whatever, but hopefully this might be of some use to you. And again, just thinking about your mum and how she keeps the whole show going over the last number of years. Total credit to her and to Laura and Chloe and yourself, and how you handle yourself and coping, moving on from day to day. Something that's not easy. He was such a character in my life anyway. There's no doubt about that. Right, Brian, I'm going to send this on to you now. Okay, cheers.
So what can we say about Michael? He was one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. We had great memories of our time in Ireland with him. Charlotte and Tom, I was talking to them yesterday, and they told me that when he put the washing up liquid in the water fountain out the back garden, and the whole garden was full of foam, and they said it was one of their greatest memories ever. And there was the time when he did the gorp, where he pulled his trousers up, right, and he did that, and it was great fun. Over to you, Carmel.
And sat out in the back garden drinking wine. I always remember that, in that lovely back garden with all the bubbles blowing all over our heads and that.
And about the
and another time I remember going with Anne and Michael when we went to Tubbercurry, and we were in a bar and they raided it, the Garda raided it, and then we came out thinking that was the end of the night, but Michael knew somewhere else, of course, and took us in somewhere else, and the door was shut, and I think we had another hour or two in there, so we had a great night. But he was a character, Michael, someone that I often think of, and that he was very well loved by everyone. So, and I'm sure he'd be very proud of you all there.
Yeah. It was a great. It was always great fun when he came to the McGowan household, and we brought Auntie Anne every year when she came over, and we had dinner and drinks and fun and
the best. Yeah.
Stayed till 2 a.m. and then drove home after a pile of drink. But no, great times. And then Anne has been just amazing through all this and looked after her family totally.
Oh, he'd be so proud of them all. He would.
And Chloe, Brian, and Laura have all been wonderful children who've got through this situation with great aplomb. Didn't know I knew that word.
No.
But he will be looking down, and he's so proud of all of you, as are we. We miss our times, and we hope to keep coming over to Ireland, but with COVID it's not allowed at the moment, but we hope to be over as soon as things change.
But we'll raise a glass to him
tonight.
Yes,
because we're at Carmel's breaking all COVID rules.
Yes, yeah.
But we shall have a glass and a drink to Michael and all our fond memories of him.
That's it.
And we better go before we cry.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Signing off.
Good luck to you all.
Hello to all the McGowns. I'm greeting you here from this home office that I've seemed to have far too much time spent over the last 12 months, but I hope all is well in Saigon. I'm pretty envious that I'm not down there at the moment. Also want to thank Brian for messaging me and asking me to do this. I think it's a fantastic idea and something you're going to be able to hold on to for the rest of your lives. I'll start with probably my best memory of Michael, and one that I still to this day always bring up and talk about when I'm on about my childhood, was these memories that have always stuck with me. And I know it's many years ago now, but it's these that I regularly look back on with such fondness. I've kind of grown up in Ferndale, but I've no doubt you'll all remember them. But the first is when Michael used to bring us all around the estates in the back of the trailer. Looking back, their occasions happened probably more regularly than they should have at the time. What would have probably been deemed as fairly unsafe. Not that it was safe back then either, but with the way things are now, I don't think we'd be more likely to get away with it at all as much as we did back then. But I used to enjoy those long summer evenings, you know, with us all packed in, sitting on bits of wood and turf, and God knows what else could have been in there, and driving around Ferndale Green for it. I think we even ventured down as far as Markievicz Heights at one stage as well. But it's probably between the memories of doing this as well as our walks with Uncle Mike, as he used to always say, where he'd bring us up to the horse field. You'd probably remember this, Brian, but he'd bring us up to a big rock close to the pump house or whatever you call that place. But I remember he used to be at that rock, and Michael would be telling us all these mad stories, like no doubt all made up and speaking out of his ass really, but we'd be hearing about back in the day how kings and queens at that rock or whatever he used to dream up of at the time. But they're probably some of the memories that always come to mind when I think of my childhood and how much crack we used to have really around the estate, you know. And I'm extremely grateful of just even growing up in Ferndale, as I think the group of neighbours we had around just kind of made life so much easier and more enjoyable, and childhood's pretty much that all of us would probably look back on with so much fondness. I do miss Michael even randomly walking in the back or the front door of the Holy's house, and we could be sitting down eating the dinner. Don't know how many times he used to do that, but anytime I think of it, I remember his head coming in the back door. His presence is just hugely missed. And although I've seen Brian just walking in the door at random times, it's not the same. But I'll finish up now without boring you guys for any longer. But just before I do, I just wanted to kind of recognise all of the McGowns for your endurance, your courageousness, fearlessness and bravery shown over the last number of years. And Anne, for you to step into the shoes of becoming a sole parent is by no means an extremely difficult task. I don't have the experience of that now, thank God, and I'd like to hope that I actually never will either. But the strength you have showed to do that is incredible and something I really do admire. I've no doubt many people in your position would struggle, and you've been able to battle it and still manage to find the time to party away even up in Bruxelles. On that note, wouldn't it be great if we were able to do that again? But secondly, Brian, I do want to call you out here as well, as I've watched you grow up since all your life really actually. And over the last 4 years, what I have seen is incredible. You've honestly just grown into the man of the house, but still able to live your own life at the same time, and I honestly commend you for that. Don't think I'd be able to become the person you have at all. And I just really love seeing everything you do for the family. Even the idea of this video is brilliant, and I love that you're always trying to do things to make your family happy and put a smile on their faces. I can't really go without recognising Laura and Chloe either, and the only reason I'm saying E at the end is it's fair to go down from the eldest, right? But the same goes for you guys. The endurance, courageousness, fearlessness and bravery shown is absolutely incredible. I don't know how I'd have coped in the same position, but you guys are just unbelievable. Nothing seems to faze you at all, and I've no hesitation in saying that there is absolutely no doubt that Michael is looking down on all of you proud as punch. I'll leave it here, guys, and hopefully if COVID does one and leaves us all alone, we might be able to have an old rendezvous in Ferndale over the summer.
Dad, say something.
Just a few words to remember Michael. Brian, it's ironic that I spent most of my life running away from your dad and his famous video recorder. However, on this occasion, I am only delighted to say a few words about Michael and my fondest memories of him. My wedding day was a special day for me, and Michael made sure of that. First trip as my chauffeur was to the hairdresser. And of course, Michael came in, do the best you can for this lady, and had a big laugh and chat with her. After my appointments, he brought me to Temple Boy and was my chauffeur for the rest of the day. Michael again with his sense of humour. Now, Margaret, you were very lucky that Aidan came along. You were a long time on the shelf. Another funny occasion in Pamela Scott's with Geraldine. Anne and Michael joined us. Michael linked me up to the sales assistant to help him find an outfit for his mother. She likes a fairly long skirt to cover her legs, a little blouse and a jumper. What's worse was that he lured the assistant into believing him. That was typical of Michael. Michael was one of the good people and was always ready to give a helping hand. He made all events special, and in that way showed his love for all of you. His family were so important to him, and he always spoke so proudly of you, Brian, Laura and Chloe. In the more serious conversations with him, it was so evident how aware he was of the love and strength Anne had for him and for all of you. He would say to me, she was remarkable, and she definitely was. Michael would be so happy to see how you have all coped and cared for each other in the last 4 years. He lives on in all of you. Going forward, always talk openly to each other about him, including the good times and the bad times. It's all part of his story and will keep his memory alive. As Michael's sister-in-law, I personally miss him every day, so I know the pain of loss he is for all of you in your lives. Michael's kindness to my brother Joe will never be forgotten. The many chats he had with him, which was of great comfort to Joe, a problem shared for both of them. Brian, Laura, Chloe, you had a great dad, and Anne, a loving and caring husband who is still with you each day in heart and spirit, and that can never be taken away. Thanks, Brian, for this opportunity to reflect on Michael's life. May Michael rest in peace.
Hello, lovely McGowans. I'm at Ennisgrove Pier. I've just finished work and I said I'd get this video done for you guys for Michael's 4th anniversary. Wow, can't believe it's 4 years. Anyway, just quickly, I have so many stories, but I suppose one that stands out the most is my first memory of being in Michael's company. And I'm ordering a pint of milk and convincing me that that's what he drank when we were in the Belfry one night, and a few hours later followed by not so many pints of milk. He pushed me in on top of the Westlife boys and told them that I was their biggest fan and wanted a kiss of all of them. Because he followed me to the toilet as I was passing by them, and then he ran off and left me standing there like a complete gobshite. And yeah, Scarlett, and I just ran away. Anyway, many more stories like that, but just want... Oh gosh, where do I start? Anne, oh my God, I admire you so much. You are such a rock to your kids, and Michael will be so proud of you, as I am. I admire you from the top of my head to the tips of my toes, and I just love you so much. And as for your kids, Brian and Laura, Chloe, oh my God, you're fantastic, and Michael will be so proud of you. You're brilliant. Molly, I know she's been a blessing to you all as well. She's just beautiful, and yeah, she's part of the family, and yeah. And just another quick one, Joe. Thinking of him today as well. And listen, I just can't wait for us all to be able to go back to normal, and I can't wait to give you all the biggest hug. We know this fucking COVID is over, and God rest your soul, Michael. I hope you're happy in heaven. Love you all.
Hi again, family. Just want to say that I'm thinking of you all on this special day, and my love goes out to you. I hope you all agree with me here when I say that Michael is the king of Ferndale, still is the king of Ferndale. No one will take that away. He played such a massive role in all our lives. Anyone who knew him absolutely adored him. He's just an absolute amazing person. I guess the main thing is his big iconic laugh. I don't think I'll ever forget it. Think of him or look at photos or just see him having a laugh, having the crack, you know. He's a great man. It's when we'd go out on we'd be late for training, but he'd bring us out, you know, he'd detour on the road trip and he'd say, this is the house I'm buying, and there's that bit of land, yeah, that's mine there, that's my farm and everything. Oh God. When we were younger then, he'd have his little riddles. He'd say, hey, Alboy. I was like, yes, Big Mike. Do you want him with a hole or without a hole? I was like, what are you on about? I'll have him with a hole. And he'd pull out a little polo mint, and he always had those little treats and surprises and sort of tricks up his sleeve. And then when he grew up, he was... I guess throughout my life he was like a second father to me, but he was also like one of my best friends, because you know, he'd always be out in the street and having a laugh. He was like a mentor to us when we were younger. I was 7 golden rules to look for in a girlfriend, and as you can see, he taught us pretty well. I guess also I kind of have to mention the notorious McGowan's parties that go on till the wee hours in the morning. As you can see there, Michael always being the life and soul of the party, and yeah, he's just a great person. I love him so much, and as I do, I love you all guys, and you've been so brave over the years, and you've been an absolute rock in the family, and Brian, Chloe and Laura as well, you're just so strong, and you're an absolute amazing family, and it's great to see you doing so well and holding together. I know it's been tough over the past few years, but you're great friends and family, and we all love you. And hopefully in the near future I'll be able to come down and we'll have a meet up.
Hello to all the McGowan family. Delighted to be asked to share one of Michael's memories with you. One of them that always comes to my mind is the day there was a bit of land for sale up in Paulsborough, and he was intending to buy it. I think it was Sean Hunt's. I'm not familiar with that area, but he was explaining it to me anyway, to join up 2 lots a year up there. So it was for sale by public auction in Nathan Brannan's pub in Tubbercurry one evening. And he asked me, would I come into the auction with him? I'm intending to buy this. And I said I would anyway, and of course we had a few pints, and the auction started, and of course he was behind me for bidding. The size of me hiding behind me, I suppose. That was his plan. Actually, he read out the conditions of the sale anyway. It'll be open to public auction and the highest bidder had secured it if it had reached its reserve. And if it didn't reach its reserve, he'd call up the highest bidder at the end of the auction and negotiate with him to see would he get any more out of him. Anyway, it wasn't sold at the public auction, and the auctioneer immediately called up Michael to see was he prepared to go any further on this. So he asked him, have you any more money in your head for this place? And his answer was, well, I have, he said, but not in the bank.
Hi, Anne, Brian, Laura and Chloe. It's the Kellys here from Ferndale. We're not used to being in front of the camera, so they've nominated me as the spokesperson here just to say a few words about Michael. First of all, it's very hard to believe that it's Michael's 4th anniversary on the 1st of February. Look, we thought we'd share a few of our memories of Michael. I have to say, every encounter I ever had with Michael, I came away with a smile on my face. He always, anytime I met him, put me in good humour, whether it was on the street, one of the Ferndale parties or whatever. But first recollection of Michael was years ago when we were new to the estate, and Westlife were playing a concert down in Markievicz Park, and none of us had tickets, so I think Barbara was there, Nuala Grogan, we all had young kids anyhow, and other ones as well. I can't remember which, but all the kids wanted to see what was going on behind the scenes in Markievicz. And I remember someone said, sure, Michael has the trailer. I said, who's he? Oh, he's Michael McGowan up in the cul-de-sac. And Michael had his trailer, and he spent his time lifting those kids up and down to see the famous Westlife. And I think a few of the adults actually got a chance to stand in it as well. And I thought, oh my God, I said, isn't he so innovative? But sure, that was Michael. Another great memory of Michael was we had an awful tree. We inherited a desperate tree in the front garden, rotten thing, blocking all the sunlight, but there was a certain member of the household here that wanted to keep it. So one time on one of the big cleanups, I said to Michael, at the time he had an electric chainsaw, and I said, Michael, I wish you could go and cut that tree to its root. The next thing, he turned and he said in front, there must have been about 20 people standing outside the house. He said, vote, who wants rid of the tree? And all hands went up, bar one, which I can't say the person. And within 5 minutes, that tree was down. You know, Michael had a great way with him. You know, I remember one time, Brian McGowan, you came down to our house on Christmas Day. I was a smoker at the time. Well, a smoker of my own. And you said, Dad's run out of cigarettes. Could you have any? And I had about 3 left in the box myself. And I said, I said to myself, I wouldn't do that for anyone else, but I don't want to see Michael McGowan up there. So look, you could be talking all night, all the laughs we had at the various functions. All I can say is, Michael McGowan, you're sorely missed in Ferndale, and that's from the heart. You're sorely missed. You were a big presence. I always called you to your face. I used to say you're the king of Ferndale, and I think you were. And you were one of a kind. Your presence is missed, and I think I'm sure you're in heaven looking down at your beautiful family, because I don't want to get soppy or whatever, but I think you're fantastic. I think you're a beautiful person inside and out. You're so kind, you're so brave, and 3 kids there. You're an absolute credit to your mum and dad, an absolute credit. And I'm proud to know you as a family. And I wish Michael was here, but Michael, I hope you're looking down on us all and keeping us safe and keeping us in your thoughts, because you're certainly in our thoughts. And please God, next year this COVID and all the rest will be over, and you know, we can be a mass in the church or a get together or whatever. But Michael, we miss you, and Anne and Chloe, Brian, Laura, we're thinking of you, and that's all we have to say.
Memories of Michael McGowan. How are you, cuz? He used to say all the time, how are you, cuz? Every time we were over there, we always met up. We always had a bit of time out in the Strand or down by the sea. Great chat. One of the great things about Michael is, one of the things I always remember is when, if we were trying to get tickets for a United game, he'd ring me up and say, you know, just a couple of tickets for him and Brian. And it would never be, you know, a bottom of the table side. It was always be Arsenal or United or City or Liverpool. It'd always be one of the bloody hardest ones to get. Never asked for an easy one. But we'd get him and we'd meet and we'd have a few beers. And all the times we spent over in Strand Hill and over in your house, drinking and eating and laughing and joking. That was what we should always remember. He'd be very proud of you people, especially you, Anne, looking after your family, the girls and all you've done. And Brian and how you've got on. We are proud of you as well. We love you all. So hopefully we'll see you soon. The next time. Can't be soon enough. All right, so take care. Speak soon. Bye-bye.
Hello, greetings to all. Here's a wee poem I wrote in memory of Michael just after he tragically died. Oh, what darkness fell upon him, drowned judgment, drowned reason. The light will ne'er shine again, illness caused a mighty treason. Judgment must take its seat, into the darkness it cannot peep. Compassion must do the fore, summon courage, take the blow. His body lies cold and deep, so great peace a soul can keep. Memories hold me by the hand, helpless serfs badness band. Pray the light will shine within, keep the demons in their den. And life shall give us ample scope, embrace it full and all shall cope. Cheers, all the best to Anne, Laura, Chloe and Brian. You're all doing great after such a tragedy. All the best to you all. Bye bye.
First introductions to the McGowan parties was one Saturday evening a good many years ago. I was outside in the cul-de-sac trying to get Lisa, as usual, in for the night. As what happens is, of course, Michael McGowan hijacks me and says, come on in for a drink, Kay. The drink turns into actually hot whiskies. Hot whiskies, girls. Must have been before our taste for wine. Little Rory at the time was in the bath, and needless to say, Mum slightly forgot about him as the night turned into be a late one. As the night progressed, Anne decided to try out a lovely new fake tan she had bought earlier and plied us all with it. Needless to say, the next morning we were both feeling and looking very yellow. Thankfully, Rory has a good sister called Lauren who took him out of the bath and avoided him being drowned and made sure he got to the bed. That and a lot more brilliant nights stay in my mind forever in the McGowan household. Anne McGowan, you were a brilliant wife, you are a brilliant mother, and most importantly, you're a great lady. Your bravery and strength over the last 4 years have been magnificent, and you're an inspiration to us all. Brian, Laura and Chloe, the same goes to ye. Ye have been there for your mum, and I know she's constantly there for ye. Keep going the way you are. Your dad's looking down on you every day. You have a fantastic life ahead of you. Here's to a lot more parties, whether it be in McGowan's, Hayes's, Martin's, Kelly's. Keep going, girls and boys. Good luck.
Hello to Molly, Anne, Laura, Chloe and of course Brian. It's Connor here in Frankfurt. Brian asked me to do a quick video. All the memories I've had with Michael came flooding back, at the earliest of which was probably me pulling on his finger repeatedly. I could never work out how that one worked, but it always made me laugh. There was also his 50th birthday, which I know everyone had a lot of fun at. But all the memories, just same themes throughout them. It's just the man who was full of energy, cheerful, had a lot of time for everyone, especially his kids and also his nieces and nephews. I know that was much appreciated by everyone. One memory which sticks out was one summer night when he brought me and Brian to local tennis court in some school. I think we broke in, and what started off as a coaching session soon turned into a marathon match between myself and Brian. Must have lasted for about 3 hours with Michael on the sideline, giving us constructive feedback, let's say, making sure we didn't make the same mistakes twice. Unfortunately, it was bonfire night, so the air was thick with smoke. So Michael called a halt to the game while I think I was winning at the time. But this night just sums the man up. Was just his passion, his time for others, and a bit of devilment as well. I know this time of year is very tough for you, especially maybe this year more than others, given what's gone on. But just know that we're all thinking of you, and that anyone who knew Michael still remembers him very fondly. I've seen how strong you've become as a family over the last few years, and hopefully we'll see each other again soon. Maybe not in 2021. Well, let's see, but certainly soon. Take it easy.
When I think of Michael, one of the first things obviously that comes to mind is the suds. Any communion, confirmation, birthday, it's like, Michael, can we please do the suds? I'm like, oh, okay. The big suds mountain then would take over the whole garden. And I always have memories as well of whenever we were small and we're doing the dance shows on like our summer holidays, and we'd be there practicing. We'd be over in your house at like fucking 9 o'clock in the morning. We have to practice our dance now, and we'd be practicing all day, and then Michael would come in from work and we'd be like, okay, like, you know, are we ready now? Like, do we need another day practice? And your dad would always be like, check it in, you know, is the show ready, is it not? But I always remember as well, like, he'd always come in, because when we were that size, like, we were so small and Michael was so tall, and he'd come in and he'd throw Laura up on the back of his shoulder, throw Chloe up on the back of his shoulder, and I always just remember thinking, like, he is the tallest man in the world. Shows how small I was, but he was very tall.
Hi guys, hope you're keeping well. Thanks Gooch for the message. I think it's an amazing idea to have these memories kept, because honestly I've been laughing my ass off for the last 20 minutes just thinking of all the stories and all during my childhood, like getting lifts home with you or getting up to the house. Like, you could be coming back from Castlebar at 11 o'clock at night after a regional session. We take a random left and just to see a farm that your dad's doing business at, but end up back in Castlebar an hour and a half later. But like, you know, if it was anyone else, you'd be probably like, what are we doing at 12 o'clock at night in Castlebar? But you just bring such a buzz about it, and you laughing the whole way home. Like, honestly, it's just such a great nature. And I think Selby alluded to it, the with a hole and without a hole story. Like, when I was a young fellow when he was saying it, like, I was like, well, where is he going? Like, I don't know what to think. He said with a hole or without a hole. Such a simple question, but, you know, my head was going, does he think I'm gay or something? Or what does he mean? Like, what is he trying to say? You know, you're a young fella, so your head's going all over the place. You want to answer it wrong, like, and when he hands me the polo, honestly, I thought I was going to cry laughing. It was just so simple, so brilliant. He didn't have to do much, but you knew it was just absolutely just gas. And I think with your whole family, all of you guys, you're absolutely amazing. I think you bring such energy and you've such a great nature about yourselves. And obviously it's a tough day for yourselves. But together with Michael, like, ye are amazing. And I think if I came up to your house and I hadn't seen you in a year, you know, you're the kind of guys who'd, you know, sit outside and listen to me talk shite for 50 minutes or have a cup of tea, and with Molly at your side, you know, it's actually just says so much about you. And you know, I think this is an amazing idea, and I hope you're able to keep all these memories together. I wish you well, guys. Hope you're keeping well.
Hello, how's it going?
My memory of the big man Mick There were a few, there has to be said now, but was every New Year or Christmas Eve even calling around to his household, himself and Ursula Dydnan, singing Christmas carols. Ursula doing it in a high-pitched voice, probably because she had a high-pitched voice, but the big man doing it in a high-pitched voice that was completely unnatural for a 6 foot whatever, however many stone he was at the time. So even when we were expecting it, it always brought a laugh when we'd be sitting inside, me usually dying hungover from the previous couple of days. So yeah, some funny memories, some great memories. There were quite a few.
I know, yeah. I probably have it in front of you, but you can say with it.
Okay. Michael, and I suppose my fondest memory of Michael is certainly Christmas, and on the occasions that he'd call to the door, or he'd be inside in Dydnan's, and he'd be cajoling you to sing "Oh, Holy Night," and you'd be dying laughing. Then you'd start it, and you'd be dying laughing because you'd be thinking you might make "Oh, Holy Shite." And I have to say that's one of my really special memories of him, and the fun we used to have around Christmas. And I suppose the other real abiding memory I'll have of Michael would be when he used to have the car trailer, and he used to be like the piped piper of Hamlin, and he'd be all the children, of course, he'd appear with the trailer, and next minute he'd have all the kids in the trailer, and she'd be delighted. They'd be taking them off for half an hour, and there was nobody observing kind of health or safety, and we're in Delan. You'd see them belting down the road, and all these children in the back, and they popping and waving, and it was just wonderful fun, I have to say.
Kind of green for it.
Yeah, it was just great crack, and I suppose for us, and God knows, Michael and Anne and all the McGowans have been our neighbours since we came to live in Sligo, and particularly living in Ferndale, and how lucky we've been. And Michael would have been a great neighbour and a great friend and a great man for the estate. He was always great for Ferndale and had a great sense of community, and I would certainly say he was very loyal and a great sense of place, and being a strong Sligo man. And I suppose the other memory and great memory I'd have of Michael would be his love of cheese, smelly cheeses, as he'd say, smelly cheeses, and of course his old red wine. He liked an old glass of red wine. And I suppose now I really want to pay special thanks to particularly to Anne, and for the wonderful friend and neighbour that she's been to us, particularly in the last year, but always been there, and so just amazing, and just somebody that we knew we could depend on and rely on. And I have to say, I think she's one of the most resilient people I know, and I hold her in the highest of esteem. And I'd have to say the same for Laura and Chloe, and for Brian, dearest Brian, and the crack. And maybe I might have scolded him on an Christmas Eve, but still, yeah, so special. Thanks a million.
Hi guys, it's lovely to reminisce about Michael, and more than usual, and especially more so at particularly at this time. Any memory I have of Michael comes with a real large smile, funnily enough. And I'm sure if any of us could choose to have this epitaph, I'm sure we'd be more than happy. To me, Michael was just the neighbour from heaven. He was a great man. He was the go-to man. Whatever you wanted to know, Michael was your man to go to, and if he couldn't do it, he knew somebody who could do it. I suppose one of the regrets that I have is that I never learned the second line of Body Night me. So that we could get an longer version of that, because I think Michael always got stuck on the first line, and a funny story comes to mind. Michael wouldn't exactly be a legend as a cyclist, but I remember one day he said to me, and he was sick at this time, but not that it had anything to do with it, but we went for a cycle out to Strand Hill, and we were getting near to Strand Hill, and he was getting tired, and he said, we'll take a break and go into the market in Strand Hill. And of course I thought this was a 10-minute break. He ended up going around interviewing every stall member. In the end I told him, listen, I'm pissed off with this, and we turned around and cycled straight back in the way we came. I thought we were going to lose. So I mean, when you think of Michael, where does it end? I mean, the stories are legion, and the funny times are just magic, and you know, as neighbours, we miss him dearly, you know, and yeah.
We've many happy memories and treasured times with our brother Michael. I will recall a few. He was always up for fun and exploration. One memory is many happy days with him in the hayfield and also on the bog. Remember him playing little tricks with me when I was younger. One time he put a fine invisible string across the doorway leading into the kitchen. I came through the doorway and certain lightweight stuff fell on me, and also there was a noise of clanking for some special effects. He used to always play a trick on me with a coin, saying heads I win, tails you lose. Of course I lost all the time. He wore funny false faces we had here in the home house on different occasions. These are just a few, Brian. On a personal level, he was forever helping and looking out for me, the baby of the family. I feel and know was the strongest link in our family, and this link has been broken, but we soldier on in his memory. That's what he would have wanted. There is a fallen limb from our family tree, but we are all the more enriched to have him as a wonderful brother. He obviously was and would be so proud of his son, 2 daughters, and of course Anne and Molly. Oh, there they are. Which one is Michael McGowan? I know which one it is, I'm not telling you.
Hi everyone, Cousin Dennis from America here. I want to share a few memories I have of Michael. It's hard to believe it's been 4 years since he left us. We still think of him a lot. I remember a couple of things. They all involve trips to Ireland, of course. In 2005, I came over with my mother, my wife, and my 2 kids, and Michael showed my 2 kids the building where their grandmother was born, the stone building, which he, of course, called the family hovel, which we got a big laugh of, and we still talk about today. He took my son Dan, who was 10 at the time, back up to the back field where he parked the car, and he threw Dan in the driver's seat, and there Dan got his first introduction to driving a car, which was very ironic because years before, I first drove a vehicle. I drove the tractor on the farm when I was over there when I was 12. My Uncle Michael's father, put me on, and I drove around the field, popping the clutch each time. So it's kind of ironic. It came full circle. We still remind Dan of that sometimes. I remember also that night, or one of the nights, our last night in Sligo town, Nana, my wife, decided she wanted to hear music. And Michael took it upon himself to make sure we found music that night. So we're walking down O'Connell Street and other streets, but we didn't go to the pubs. Michael would just walk up to the door and put his ear against the door and then turn and say, nah, let's keep going. And I'm not sure if we found anything that night, but I still have that image of Michael walking down the street, putting his ear against the door, which I remembered when we were there the last couple of times in 2017 and 2019. It was good times. He showed us a good time then. And of course, 4 years ago in 2017 was the famous Lanigan's Ball May family reunion that Michael worked so hard to arrange, and tragically he wasn't able to be with us then. And we missed him very much. There was an empty space at the table. Many people, there was good crack there. Michael would have been in the middle of it. Many times over those few days, we mentioned that Michael would have had a great time. So at times like this, I think about Brian and Laura and Chloe. I'm sure they miss their dad every day. He would be very, very proud of you, I'm sure. And especially Anne, who was with him through his long journey and loved him very much, as her entire family did. So Michael will always be in our memory, whether it's after 4 years or after 40 years. Rest in peace, cousin.
No, I can't see you. Move back. Move back. I can't see you, so it doesn't matter. Oh, yeah. I have you in it. Brian and Laura, move back, please.
Knock it off.
Hello.
Knock it off.
Hello.
Hello, Anne, Chloe, Laura, and Brian. Thank you, Brian, for asking me to do this. Sadly, Michael's not with us anymore, but Michael and I talked frequently, and I feel so terrible that I was never able to help him. So many wonderful memories of Michael through the years. I remember when he was very young and I was visiting home and he broke his collarbone. I forget how he broke it, but we put together a sheet as a brace, and he was so courageous, sitting up in the corner of the bed, and he was just a fun little boy then. My most recent memory is of Kelly's wedding, when everybody was invited, and Bob and I, the night before the wedding, Bob and I were sitting in the room, and I was fiddling with the television, and the phone rang, and I answered the phone, and the fellow said, so how's your room? I said, well, it's wonderful, but this television doesn't work. And then he said, well, what's the matter with it? I said, I can't get the channels, or something's wrong. And he said, well, why didn't you bring your own then? I thought, bring my own television? And he said, yeah. Then I knew it was Michael. And he came to the wedding. He had a great time at the wedding. But he was a real prankster. He was fun-loving. He had an infectious smile and laugh, and he could talk you into anything. Anything. I smile when I think of him now, and he'll always be remembered. I know, Anne, it's been a hard few years for you, several years, and the children, it must have been awfully hard for them to see their father so sick and not being able to do anything about it. But you did a wonderful, wonderful job. And you've got such wonderful children that you should be so proud of. But
remembering a very happy occasion in our house in Carrigaline when Michael and Chloe came to stay. Brian was playing football with DCU. Michael was a very proud dad that day of Brian and all his teammates. Our house being close to ploughing championships, a call, Michael would stay overnight. Any visit was enjoyable, chatty, and usually a late one. Michael had a presence when he walked into any door, always welcoming and helpful, if in need. Of course, you always got a squeeze, a kiss and a compliment. To Anne, a formidable mother. Brian, Laura, Chloe, your wonderful children. Keep going forward with pride and work hard. You are always in our thoughts and in our prayers. Rest in peace, Michael. You will be very proud of them. Thank you.
Hello, Mike. Hello, Michael. Hello, Michael. And hello, Anne, Chloe, Laura, and Brian. I suppose my main memories of Michael is not stories as such, but just kind of being a bit of a mucker. When I think of Michael, and every time I drive up to Ferndale, I can still expect to see him at the side of the house, just mucking around that trailer in a dodgy pair of trousers, or out the back of the house lifting rocks or something like that. He always just seemed to be always just mucking, you know. And I used to like going into the house, and sometimes it wouldn't be all about crack either. You might just go in and sit and have a chat with him, and it's a normal conversation. I used to enjoy that. Or even just, I can remember one day Miss Anne coming home from somewhere, and Mike was asleep on one couch and I was in the other chair just fast asleep. Just that kind of thing is what I enjoyed about Michael. I remember going up to the bog with himself and Conor Hayes as well. And again, the three of us fell asleep on the bog. Mike was trying to teach us how to use a slan, which is the old way they used to cut turf. And he was adamant about bringing myself and Conor up to the bog up in Tubbercurry. So we went up one day and we bought the sandwiches, the works, and of course Michael did the digging. Myself and Conor did a lot of drinking tea and eating sandwiches, but we all had a snooze, and it was a lovely day. We all had a snooze in the mossy part of the bog then for about 15 minutes after Michael had finished and bailed off home. So they were kind of the happy memories. But I remember another time we were in McLaughlin's pub, and it was Christmas time, and someone came in with a foot spa that they got for a Christmas present. And of course Michael seen the foot spa and started taking the mickey out of it, and he held an auction in the pub and was trying to sell off the foot spa to some poor unfortunate person. Yeah, I think that's, there's lots of little stories. Also when the kids were young, we really enjoyed him coming across to the house when the kids were toddlers, because he was always over and back, especially with the toddlers. And the McGowan kids were the only kids we wouldn't been used to toddlers seeing kids at that age for a number of years. So it was a bit of a novelty seeing the kids coming in when they were so young, and even us as young in our late teens and into 20s, we knocked a bit of crack out of. But it was just kind of our first sight of an adult father that actually put a bit of time into their kids, you know, which was unusual back in the day. But I hope this is a great idea, and I think it's nice to kind of, for the future, to have people's thoughts and what they thought of them. Okay, see you. Thanks, bye.
Hello, I just want to record a quick message for Brian, Laura, Chloe and Anne, and acknowledge the time of year that it is, and to offer you support by saying that my thoughts, and certainly those of the wider McGowan family, are with you at this time of year, and we're thinking about Michael. Brian asked if I would include some memories I had of Michael in a message for you. And one thing that frequently jumps to my mind when I think about Michael was his amazing ability to engage with all of the cousins in the family. He had a unique ability to be able to capture the imagination of all of his nieces and nephews. Speaking as the eldest cousin, I'm very lucky to have several memories of how Michael used to gather all the cousins around and launch into a series of quiz questions very spontaneously, often with a reward of €1 for each correctly answered question. But I always found it inspiring how Michael he was very careful. He was very good at including everyone in the fun, no matter what the age was. So his questions would often start with who can tell me, and it would either be a general knowledge question or something like that, but then he would moderate it then for some of the younger cousins and ask about something only they would know. So really it was that ability to just bond with all of us in a way that was really inclusive. And I think Michael also knew very well how to create a sense of fascination and adventure in a young mind. I remember on one occasion Michael had taken myself, Connor and I think Brian to a wooded area just outside of Sligo town, and he had us completely intrigued on this hunt that he had created for this boogeyman that we were supposed to be looking for. So he managed to turn an ordinary walk into a very exciting adventure in a way that only he kind of knew how to. And these are games that certainly showed what a sort of a loving and positive person he was, and how much he loved fun. And these are really the sort of memories I cherish about Michael when I think of him. I think certainly 2020 and what's shaping up to be 2021 has been a difficult year for many of us, and a time when families have had to come together to support one another. So my thoughts really are with you, especially this year, when you may have been reminded particularly of the loss of a dedicated father and husband. I also wanted to commend Anne particularly for something very courageous, and that's her ability to carry and support the family over the past couple of years. We have seen several changes in terms of like in school years, university years, people moving out, people getting jobs, and as well as through the current pandemic. And really that's no easy feat, and just to recognise that and to say thanks, Anne, for taking care of the kids and all of the family. I don't know when we're going to see each other again. Hopefully we'll see each other soon, although we need to wait for the current things to return to normal. But until then, I hope you keep well, and I look forward to when we can catch up in person again.
How are things, everyone? Anne, Gooch, Laura, Chloe and Molly. Gooch, first of all, a massive fair play and a lot of love to you for thinking of this idea. Such a lovely idea, and I'd say it's been a great laugh and some lovely, on watching back on some lovely memories over the past while. I'm definitely looking forward to sitting at an afters in the McGowan some night and throwing it on and sitting down and having a good hour laugh. But look, a massive well done. And I suppose this week has kind of always been, so it's hard to believe it's been 4 years. And I know this kind of week always sticks out in the back of my mind, or I suppose the date in particular. But look, a massive sort of mention to you as well, Anne. I'm sure it hasn't been easy the past few years, and I suppose I can only imagine what it's been like behind closed doors. But look, sending a lot of hugs and a lot of love from all the McNamaras up to all ye this week in particular. And yeah, it's hard to believe, I suppose. But I suppose, Gooch, when you first messaged me about this, the immediate one that kind of came to mind was when, I suppose probably one of the earliest, when we'd be kind of calling to get Gooch out onto the street. And you know, you'd just be kicking ball around there, and Michael would come out and he'd be strutting his stuff. And it must have just been when I was kind of getting into the football with the Sligo team, because I was playing midfield at the time. I remember he used to always kind of coach me on jumping for a ball, and he'd Gooch, throw up the ball between me and Paul, throw up the ball between me and Paul, and you'd be there for half an hour jumping up trying to get the ball off Michael. And I suppose it's so funny, like, thinking back on now. And I suppose even I kind of have this picture floating here on my bedside locker the whole time. Gooch, you'll get a good laugh out of that shirt now that I'm in. But that's your 50th, Anne, and that, such a laugh that night. You know, it was so funny, and just you can still hear the big laugh on him. You know, when we all be sitting around singing or whatever. But I suppose probably the biggest memory, or probably one of the earliest ones that it kind of, Gooch, I don't even know if we probably weren't even that close at the time. But we were going out to Kevensford for, it must have been under 13 or under 14 Sligo training. But you must have said you were going to give us a lift out, and so I arrived up to the house, and Michael was there, and we were all getting in the car. And then I don't know how it came, but we ended up in the trailer for the turf, or for the sheep. And the whole way from Ferndale out to Kevensford in the back of Michael McGowan's trailer going out the new road. And I just remember thinking, as I said, we probably weren't even that close at the time, and I just remember thinking, this fella is away with the bird, and you're there loving it. And it's so funny, like. But I suppose, look, they're kind of the main ones I'd have. Definitely, it's unreal to think that it's kind of this time of year again. But Look, as I said, a massive well done, Gooch, for thinking of this idea. And Anne and Chloe, Laura and Molly, of course, sending a lot of love to you all this week. And look, we'll chat to you soon, okay?
Hi Brian, thanks for asking us to do this. I can't believe it's 4 years since poor Michael passed away. We had many a laugh down through the years. It's actually, I can't believe it's so long since I used to give him a hand training you when you were young bucks, when you started out. But in latter years I used to meet him out on the road when I was working. I'd be around the county and I often met him in Tubbercurry and places, but he gave me one laugh one day really. He never seemed to be rushing, and I was always rushing, and he used to kind of be slagging me slightly. But I remember I was flying by the Yates Hotel in Curry one day, lovely summer's day at about 1 o'clock, and he was coming out and he was getting into the car, so I doubled back, and he came out onto the footpath and he says, "What are you working, sir, or what are you doing?" And I says, "Yeah, I'm rushing to meet a fella in Charlestown." And he says, "Well, I'm after having me dinner there now," he says, "and I'm going to sit in the car now and I'm going to read the paper from cover to cover." And he looked across from the passenger's window straight into my eye with a glint in it. And he says, "I don't know what I'm going to do then." He just loved keeping me under pressure, and I thought, why did I bother stopping? But anyhow, he gave us a great laugh down through the years. God love him.
Well, I want to say a few things we can't say on camera, but I remember we were above the Market track one day. The St John's Club, the senior team got to one of the semi-finals, and Brian was breaking on to the senior team, and we were above and they were roaring at the Gooch, the Gooch, the Gooch. And Michael turned and he says, "Sarah, who are they talking about?" I said, "That's Brian." Oh, he wasn't one bit happy. His mother didn't call him the Gooch, his mother called him Brian. But by the time the game was over, he was nearly in over the wire, roaring at the Gooch, scoring points over the bar. We miss him an awful lot of the games. There'll be queer language out of him now, Brian, that's for sure. But you have a beautiful family around you, 2 beautiful daughters, Laura, Chloe, and well done, Brian, on doing this. Good lad.
Anne, Brian, Laura and Chloe. We miss Michael's visits to Posborough and all the fun and laughs we had. Like the time we put in a new kitchen and we got the tiling done. Michael arrived and he said, "Oh, who done the tiling?" And I said, "Oh, I done that myself." I knew he wasn't believing me, but he had the tea, and sometime later Daniel, who was 3 at the time, came in and said, Michael said to him, "Oh, Daniel, who done the tiling?" And Daniel said, "Oh, man came." Michael had such a laugh at how easy he had caught me out. So Anne, thinking of you.
Hi Anne, Brian, Laura and Chloe, hope you are all keeping well. Brian did send us a message just to remind us about Michael's anniversary coming up this weekend, and in truth it's not something we would forget, to be honest. I remember the first time we met you all in Sunny Beach, and it was very clear very quickly who the mayor of Sunny Beach was going to become. What an impact Michael had on all of us. He managed to turn what was a quiet reserve pool into the Olympics very quickly, where we had competitions up and down the pool. He embraced everybody that was there, whether they had English language or no English language. I can remember I think it was Chloe's birthday at one time, and he was going around the pool with a pot of tea and cake for everybody, and everybody was invited over to the party. He was just a man full of fun. There's no other way of describing the impact probably Michael had on all of us. And I know that would apply to Brian and Lorraine and all their boys as well, the impact he's all had. I remember him taking us over to Sunset Resort I remember the red van that he'd rented out, and us all going over, and he taught us how to walk into the place like we all owned a penthouse in it. And we had a marvellous day's fun just wandering about there all day. A couple of different things about being, I remember we did think maybe it certainly wasn't all about Michael. We found out very quickly there was a double act, and the Dan was very much part of it as well. We were up in Mick and Mag's apartment for a meal one night, and very sombre and very suddenly Michael introduced that Anne was going to sing this amazing song for us in Japanese, and for 20 seconds we were sitting listening to this, And then it suddenly dawned on us that Sheila Rue was not for a load of makey uppy all the way from Sligo. But Jesus, what great fun. I'll be honest, I would have always said that Michael, I would have thought he was very like myself in a lot of ways. He was a family man, full of fun and extremely generous. And this is going to be a tough weekend for you this weekend, but he lives long and fondly in all of our memories. And I'm not sure what the measure of anybody is, or what the measure of a man is, but if that measure for me, it'd be in how the family are, and the job that Michael and Anne have done with yous, having met Brian 2 years ago. I can see pieces of Michael and Anne in yous. I know from the girls, our girls, Alana and Emily, having talked to Laura and been in touch on that with Chloe over the years. Yous are a credit, and look at yous are a credit to Anne. I know how much that Anne and Michael will be proud of yous all. So look, we'll be thinking of yous this weekend. When you count it all up, we maybe met for 8 weeks altogether. But for anybody to have that much impact in anybody's life and to bring that much fun into our lives in those 8 weeks, that's an amazing testament of the person that they are. So look, it's only 5 o'clock on a Thursday, so they're empty. Even we couldn't open wine at this time of the evening. But we will over the weekend, and we'll toast yous and we'll toast the memory of Michael. So good luck and love to yous all, and hopefully we'll see yous in Bulgaria soon. Bye.
Hello, how was the going?
My favourite memory when I think of Michael would have to be when we were about, I'd say no more than 7 or 8, and we were on our summer holidays. It was a really hot summer. I remember the weather was so good, and Michael convinced us that coming up to the bog for a trip to the bog would be literally the best day trip ever. And I'd obviously never been to the bog, so I was so excited. Laura, on the other hand, wasn't so enthusiastic, but we went anyways. I remember it so well. The morning we went, it was so hot, and when we arrived up, little did I know the amount of labour that was actually going to be involved in going up to the bog for the day. So we spent the whole day in like dead heat, filling I don't know how many bags of turf for Michael. I was absolutely wrecked. I remember it was literally my first and last time to go to the bog, because I was probably traumatised from the amount of work that we had to do when we went up. But at the end of the day, we were rewarded with one of Michael's famous trailer rides. So they were literally the best thing ever. Like when we got the trailer ride, we thought we were going so fast and that it was like a roller coaster. Like we thought it was the best thing ever. So we got a trailer ride. Like he piled us in on top of the bags of turf and drove us back to, I think it was his mum's house, and that obviously made up for the whole day's work that we were after putting in up on the bog.
Hello Sligo, Cousin Pat saying hi from New Hampshire. I'm here at Brian's invitation because of Michael's upcoming anniversary. He asked if I and others would share some memories of Michael, and I'm happy to do that. It was difficult to pick which memories. I have so many wonderful memories of Michael, but I think that I can come up with a few from my visit over there in 2016 when he took me on a scenic tour out to the Temple Boy and Lugdon area to visit the sheep and see the fairy fort that he said was from 400 AD, and I took that photo of him that day of him holding the lamb, which you have all seen. Beautiful photo of Michael. And we discussed that at dinner that night with Anne at Fabrica over in Sligo town, and said what a wonderful picture it was of you, Michael. I really like it. It's one of the nicest pictures I've seen of you. And he wanted to know what was wrong with all the other pictures that there were of him, and why was that one so special. He thought all the pictures of him were good. And I said, no, you looked very content that day, this afternoon, as though you didn't want to be anywhere else. I think that should be your Facebook picture. It just looks so like you. It's the way I think of you when I picture you. And the next thing I knew, he had it as his Facebook picture. So that worked out well. A day or two later, he drove me very graciously down to Westport. On the way, we stopped at the Museum of Country Life in Mayo. He had never been there. He said he thought it was just a bunch of tractors and farm machinery. But we went in. I had been there before. They have a lot of exhibits of what country life was like in Ireland 200, 300 years ago. This is the kitchen, this was the store, this was the blacksmith shop. Here are the women keening in the wake. It was great. We had a wonderful time and enjoyed it, but the most fun was when we left the museum. We passed a couple of sycamore trees with funny growing branches, and Michael looked at them and said, "We are climbing those trees." And the next thing I knew, we were up in the tree branches, laughing, having a wonderful time. I took pictures of him up there. He took pictures of me up there. We had a great time. Wonderful, wonderful, fun day for the two of us. Great memories. Can't do much better than that. And all I can say is I also have wonderful memories of Anne, the rock of the family these past few years, Chloe, Laura, wonderful, wonderful girls to have been so brave and have such a positive attitude all these years, and Brian, the man of the family now, and doing a wonderful job. And Molly, of course. I hope to see you all soon in person and give you hugs. I love you all. Take care. My time is up. Goodbye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good evening, Anne, Brian, Laura and Chloe. It's my pleasure just to recall a few memories of my old buddy Michael here this evening on the occasion of his 4th anniversary. Myself and Michael first met up in Banner Abbey Secondary School in 1971, and I have to say we had 5 good years there, playing football, playing poker, playing 25, and generally getting up to all sorts of different, all harmless, I have to say. In 1976 we sort of parted our ways. Michael went to UCG in Galway to study agricultural science. I went to Sligo IT and somehow seemed to end up studying poker more than civil engineering. Despite different qualifications, to say the least, we both ended up working for North Connacht Farmers back in the 80s and 90s, which were great years there, I have to say. We had a lot of golf was a big part of it, and we had a lot of outings all over the country, from Tralee to Wexford, Roscommon, Thurles, Clifton, Westport, you name it, we had it. On one of the occasions we were going to Clifton for a weekend, and Michael said we better eat in Westport, get ready for the session beyond in Clifton. So it was a good idea, and I said certainly. So Michael, being a salesman, knew all the good spots to go, and he picked this particular spot. He said in the car, he said, "I'm buying the dinner now on one condition, Pat." And I said, "What's that, Michael?" "You have to have what I have." Well, I couldn't see too much danger there in food, so I agreed. In we go, and I slip off to the toilet. Michael, when I came back to the table, Michael says, "Okay, I have ordered." So eventually, a few minutes later, this comes down, and what was it but a chicken curry deluxe. Remarkably, I never had curry before that in my time. So anyway, we proceeded to start eating, and everything was grand for 3, 4, 5 minutes maybe. And the next thing, the sweat started pouring, I mean literally pouring out of me, running down my face as if you had a tap on me. And Michael got a kick out of it, because I think he must have ordered the hottest curry possible in Westport. But anyway, we got over that, and I certainly had a good thirst on me by the time I got to Clifton. Another funny incident, we were in Donegal town, the Diamond, and we'd been out for a while. We went into this pub around 9:30, and it was quite busy, and music at it, and Michael said, hopped up again, come on with me. Went out to the front door and started taking $5 a head cover charge. Needless to say, we only did this for a few minutes, and we did give the money back to them, but it was just typical of another piece of development Michael would get up to. Wherever Michael was, there was always fun. That's really all I'd say. I could go on, I could tell stories for days about him, but it's hard to believe it's 4 years since he passed, and I have to say, I certainly often think about him, and especially when we're golfing, his name will come up as when the fun is around. I'm sure you miss him terribly, but he can be proud that he's a fine wife and family left after him. And well done, Brian. It was a nice thought of this for your mother and sisters, and it goes to show you're a chip off the old block. Have a good.
Hello, Anne, Brian, Laura, and Chloe. Just a little message to say we're thinking of you at this special time of the year. I'll tell you a little funny story about one night I had Michael with me. The first night I was called to pick up Rita at her home house and meet her parents. I brought Michael with me for a bit of moral support and to talk to her mother. However, we failed to find the house. So Michael had gone into a house to see if we get directions to this particular house, and he got chased by a dog. So on his way out across the gate, he got his finger cut, and the next week he met my mother in town. He told her that he lost blood, sweat and tears trying to find a wife for her favourite son. Until we meet again, look after each other and be careful. Okay? Thank you.
Hey guys, I hope you're having a really nice day together today. Remember Michael, I've been thinking about you a lot this week, and I'm sure Mum, Dad and Maria, they've been thinking about you as well. Brian had the great idea of putting this video together for everyone that knew Michael and had various stories about him. And yeah, I'm sure you're getting some lovely stories and also some hilarious stories from different people. And I hope that can bring you some comfort and joy today. Yeah, from my perspective, obviously I grew up with Michael being around, and I have tons of fond memories of barbecues in Ferndale, playing football outside, and yeah, even hopping into Michael's trailer, going around Ferndale and around the streets. Gaelic obviously played a fairly big part of my relationship with Michael over the years. I was lucky enough to be trained by him in Coolbeg and everything else, and I was also lucky enough to go to my first All-Ireland football final with Michael back in 2016. Myself, Brian and Michael stayed in my cottage house. We were down in Quinns in Drumcondra, ventured into Temple Bar. That's a very fond memory of Michael and Brian. We had a great night that night. Another fairly funny trip that I'm not sure if Brian remembers was up to Carrick-on-Shannon. We were going to, I think, a Mayo Leitrim Championship game. I think Noel and another one of Michael's friends from NCF were heading up, and we were halfway up towards Carrick-on-Shannon, and Michael informed us that we only had 3 tickets, and there was 5 of us in the car, so I think myself and Brian got the kind of boot if we weren't going to get in. But anyways, Michael kind of put on his sales hat from NTF, and another part was a bit of stubbornness, but we landed up to the turnstile with a couple of cover stories, and anyways, eventually Michael kind of pushed us through, and yeah, without tickets we ended up heading in for free. So that was quite a funny memory I had with Michael, and kind of it was good crack at the time as well, I remember. But yeah, that's kind of some of my memories. I really hope that you're having a good time watching these, and you can get some comfort in all the stories that I'm sure are coming in. Michael left a ton of positive memories with me personally, and yeah, I'm sure that you've got a ton of stories to go through. So again, I hope you have a really nice day today together, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you.
This time of year, that was Michael's anniversary again, and we can't help thinking about some of the things we used to do, and and the struggles, unfortunately, he had to put up with, and the challenges, and had to deal with to keep things together. And a good job she did, and you'd never see her with feeling down or looking unhappy. I always used to be amazed at how strong she appeared. But I'm sure she had a tough time. But one of the fondest memories I have of Michael is he used to bring me to a lot of things like football matches and out some little country trips. But he brought me out, was it Foot in the Turf there to the piece of bog they had out there in near Tubbercurry, and he brought up the old tractor, and we're going around in the back of the trailer and getting a good old shaking now. But it was good experience for a fella who grew up in the town like myself, you know, can experience the real work for a change, you know. So yeah, that was good crack. Yeah, we're out with sheep another time, and he was explaining to me how they mark the sheep, and the sheep get impregnated, and you can tell what happened from where the day ended up. It's all new to me, like being a townie. So these things now I would have enjoyed over the years with Michael, you know. So it's I was thinking of him this time now, and our thoughts are with you all at this time. So.
How's it going, Anne, Brian, Laura and Chloe? How are you getting on? I'm sure there's not a dry eye in the house now with all this reminiscing about Michael. What a man, some crack. Remember one of the first times I met him? Well, it's probably, I'd known him about 3 or 4 months at this stage. But the watering can incident, I don't know if you remember. But Michael had borrowed the watering can from Lula about 2 weeks previous. And Lula was wondering where the watering can was. I said, I think Michael has it. Sure, I'll go across and I'll see if he has it in the shade. So I went across the road and I says, how are you, Michael? I was just wondering, do you have that watering can? What? Our watering can? You're calling it our watering can now, Wayne, are you? I says, no, it's just a watering can. What are you on about, our watering? No, you think it's your watering can now. Jez, you're well in there with the diagonals, eh? Our watering can. So of course, that was all well and good. Had a bit of a laugh about it. But then fast forward about 3 weeks, then we were all in Ferndale for some occasion. I think it might have been around Christmas time. And Michael brings up the watering can. Wayne thinks it's our watering can now. Sure, he'll be moved in here soon now, Nuala. I'm telling you, he'll take over the place. I tell you, I went 3 or 4 different shades of red with embarrassment. I didn't know where to put my face. But I think that might have been the same night as well that we made up that song. It was the Will You Can't You Should song. Do you remember that, Dan? It was, I've the words written down here actually. Is you will, you can't, you will, you can't, you should, you won't, you can't. You will, you can't, you should, you won't, you can't, you should, you will. You can't, you should, you won't, you will, you can't, you should, you won't. Well, you should, you can't, you won't, you will. And you should, you can't, you won't. Or you will. Or you won't, or you can't, or you should. Yeah, so that was a bit of a tradition for us then for a while after that. Anyways, he'll be well missed. He has been well missed over the last 4 years. I can't believe that 4 years has gone by so quick. My God. Anyways, here's to Michael. Top man he was. And he always will be in my mind anyways. God bless.
Hello McGowans. Hold on now, just here to get the right ambience. Like this. And my bullet points here. And my wine. So, now I had to wait until I had a drink in hand now to do this because I'm not great at this recording crack. So Brian was looking for some stories, and I think you could go on for hours and hours looking for stories, but there'd be just too many and we'd be here for a long time. Just a few of the ones that come to mind are always going to be the Clarissa lad, and how he hounded me for months and months when I was about 14 or 15 to do Clarissa lad. They were looking for models because I have such perfect skin. And he printed out numerous application forms, and he was so disappointed in me when I wouldn't do it. But it was just hilarious, and he was just, the fact that he wanted me to do it so badly was just shows just the kind of person he is. He just wants the best for everybody. I suppose another one would be how we used to hound the Farrells every Christmas Eve. Hi, Sean. Every Christmas Eve, about 1 o'clock in the morning, they used to love seeing us come. Say hi. Hi. We're talking about Uncle Michael. Oh. Yeah. Oh. That was always a good one. Hold on now, let me see what other ones. Oh yeah, he always blamed me for Laura's squinty eye. Sorry, Laura. Wasn't me. I did drop you outside the bath, but I caught your head, so it wasn't me. But your father would always blame me. Oh look, sure, look, there was nights out, days out, so many times, all the family occasions, you were always there. But look, you're just so lucky to have each other now and to have such a strong mum. But look, it's okay not to be strong as well, and we'll always be there for you when you don't feel strong, and I think you know that. And I'm going to say happy anniversary to Michael, because I know it's a sad day for all of us and for you especially, but I think he's happy where he is now, and he's looking down and he's so proud of all of you. I know that, and how you're going to stick together. And I think him and Dad will be so proud of all of us, and for continuation of this weird bond we have into the next generation and the generation of the little farts up there. So maybe you should all start having babies soon so they could all be the same age. Wouldn't that be nice? So look, to you, to your dad, to all of us, to so many great things to come for all of us and for yourselves, and so many happy occasions, and for your mum, and for a happy life for her, I think is what we all want. And I think she deserves it more than anyone I know, because she's one of the best people I've ever met in my life. And I'd like to think we'll always be there for each other. Okay, love you guys. Bye.
Hi, I'm Teresa. I worked with Michael for 27 years. He was a very close friend and a wonderful work colleague. He brought such fun and laughter to every day. Usually you would hear him before you would see him with his loud, hearty voice or singing a lively tune. His presence never failed to lift the mood in any room and put a smile on everyone's face. He generously gave of his best advice and help to the limit, whether you asked him for it or not. His greatest pride was speaking about Brian, Laura and Chloe, and his wonderful wife Anne, whom he often said that he did not deserve. Since Michael left us, I've gotten to know Anne even better. I have never met a more extraordinary, kind, genuine and understanding lady. She's carried her pain and grief with such dignity, together with her 3 children, doing Michael proud. We miss Michael more than he will ever know. He has left us some funny memories and stories, and he will live on in these memories with us forever.
Big hello to all the McGowans, thinking of you all on Michael's anniversary. Like everybody who was in Michael's company, we have fond memories of Michael and the fun times that he gave everybody. I owe Michael credit for my first ever visit to, and probably my only visit to a farm. I remember him bringing myself and Gooch out when we were younger. When we eventually got there, because we had to take a few spins around the roundabout, Michael was fond of going around them 3 or 4 times. But yeah, safe to say Michael didn't get too much of a hand on the farm like we had promised him that day. It ended up with me and Gooch just kicking Gaelic balls over and back, and Michael would come out of nowhere every now and again and pluck one out of the sky and tell us what we were doing wrong or what we were doing right, and trying to improve as players. And luckily it worked for Gooch anyway, not so much for myself. But yeah, by the end of the trip to the farm, ready to head off in the car, and Michael pulls up and goes to turn the key in the car, and no start, because me and Gooch had the music blaring all day out and the battery was gone on it. And seeing Michael's face, and he wanted to get angry, but he just couldn't, and the 3 of us had a good laugh and eventually got sorted and made it back into town. But every time that we were around with Michael, you know, he looked after us all when we were younger. Had a great time for me and all the lads, and it was always a pleasure to be in his company. Massive admiration for you, Anne, what you've done over the last 4 years, raising, I'm going to say 4 kids, because I'd include Molly in that, obviously the most important. But honestly, like, 3 amazing young adults there, and it's a credit to you what you've done over the last few years. I'm sure it's been difficult, but you've done such a good job, and it's not just you as well. I'm sure Michael's with you every step of the way, because he's looking down and he's helping you all along the way, and he is so proud of all of you. Same for yourself, Brian, the man of the house, you know, carrying the family, always being there for all the girls. It's a credit to you. And the 2 girls, Laura and Chloe, as well, for being so strong through it all. You know, it's great to see you around and being happy, you know, after all you've been through. It's amazing. You're an amazing family. I'm sure you're all there for each other all the time, and you all deserve every bit of happiness. So thinking of you on Michael's anniversary, and lots of love to you all.
So I think you mentioned about 3 minutes, and we've gone 2 minutes and 24 seconds, so I don't really have much time now to say what I need to say, but anyway, Gavin has said it all there, I think. Anyway, hello to all the McGowans, just to let you know on behalf of Levon and Lauren as well, that we're thinking of you all at this special time for you, and I don't have many funny stories about Michael. One thing that comes to mind is when he came up and joined the Sligo Park there one time, and I met him in the gym one night, and he was just starting off with the weights, and he was looking for a wee bit of tuition, so I was just helping him out with them. But to see, as you know yourself, starting off with weights, you always start small, but to see a man of Michael's size and physique inside in the gym with these little baby weights that he had to start off with, it was a funny sight. Other memories of Michael would be just when there used to be a party or that over in the house, or a get together over in his house. He was the perfect host, and he always had a smile on his face, and I always told a couple of funny stories, and we always had a great laugh, and some great nights over there over the years. Just a massive credit to all of you over there, Laura and Chloe and Brian, and especially yourself, Anne. You've been fantastic over the last few years, and you're a very, very strong family, and it's great to have you as friends and as neighbours, and just keep going, and more of the same for the foreseeable future. It's fantastic to know you and you're great friends, and well done, keep it up. Bye-bye.
How's things? Just a quick video as requested by Coach on my memories of Michael McGowan, the legend. Michael, I suppose I could be here all night talking about stories that I remember about Michael, but I'll give you 2 or 3 of them anyway. I suppose the first one is probably going back to the first time I met Michael, or sort of officially got introduced to him. He came in and introduced himself to me in Egypt. Gooch wasn't long after starting. He said, "How's things, Michael McGowan here?" Gooch's father worked that fella plenty hard anyway, don't go too easy on him. So I said, "Well, you know what, we won't, Michael." But anyway, he said, "I'm looking for a pair of trousers actually." I said, "100% Michael, yeah." And I was looking at him, and I'm up thinking, try and see what size he was, probably thinking to myself in and around the 38. So I said, "What size are you, Michael?" He goes, "Well, 34 or 32. And I sort of laughed at him. I said, "Them were the days, Michael." And he goes, "What do you mean? No, I'm a 34 waist, 32 leg." So I said, "Jesus, I fucking said the wrong thing there." This man went upstairs, the sweat rolling down my back, thinking I'm after insulting this man now. Fucking wound up anyway. Couple of pairs of Raymond's trousers down, that nice navy, a nice black one, 34, 32. I said, "There you go, Michael." He goes, "I was only messing with you, sure, I must be nearly 40. So that was it. That lightened the atmosphere then after that anyway. After that then, memories of Curry, down to Dingle, the famous trips the first year we went down. I was so busy keeping control of the lunatics on the bus that I didn't even hear that Michael McGowan was coming down to Dingle. So bus pulled up anyway, down in 3TP's in Ballydavid. Bags off, I went in anyway to meet Sean, the owner, and into the bar, and 3 or 4 regulars, locals, I thought, sitting up the bar, and I was looking at this other fellow, I was thinking, that's not Michael McGowan up the bar there, is it? Pint in front of him. I swear he was one of the locals, sitting down, chatting, stuck in the middle of all the locals from out in the middle of nowhere in Kerry. But that was Michael. He could have went into any pub in Ireland that night and he would have sat down and had a good old chat with them. We had a great weekend that weekend. Brian mixed with young and old and was well able for the crack. Then another one I suppose is Christmas Eve. I can't remember what year it was. We were over in McHugh's. We were in the shop. Michael was over there ahead of us, and we came over afterwards. He had the Santa hat on inside the door there at the bar, and never forget it. And usually you'd warm up with maybe get a couple of pints into you after a long day now on Christmas Eve, selling gift vouchers and that. And no, Guinness wasn't good enough for Michael. For us, 6 Jaeger bombs he landed down to the table. But that's fair to say it got things going. It kept us going from Midlands anyway that night till about 11 o'clock. And another time I remember as well, in Hollywood, not long after moving to Sligo, Michael gave Holly a hand with tips on interviews, and she was maybe thinking of going with a job with Homeland and that, and very helpful. I'll never forget, he pulled up outside EJ's that evening. He came down and met us at the shop, and he had the Eagles Take It Easy absolutely glaring out the window of the car. We could open the door and he's having a puff of the fag and the music blaring and gas man. But anyway, that's my few memories. So, up Michael.
Hi y'all, hope you're all well. Haven't seen any of you now in a while, given the circumstances, but I'm thinking of you all at the moment. I can't imagine how hard it is for you, but thanks for the text, Brian, and fair play for setting this up. I think it is a great thing for you to get all these memories and to best remember Michael by, and to put a smile on your faces in the meantime. But my best memories of Michael would be growing up on the street. He had such a great presence in the Ferndale community. But I think Shane already mentioned the trailer rides, going in the back of the trailer and going for a spin through the town. Such an exciting memory for us as kids. I'd always remember as well at New Year's in Sligo, whenever I was at home, Michael would always have a great display of fireworks going on up in the cul-de-sac. And for myself then as well would be the journeys in the car to and from football matches and football training. Michael would always ask us, did we want one with a hole or without a hole, given no context behind the question, but he'd be asking what type of mint we wanted. Was it a polo mint or a soft mint? And then the other one I would give mention to is calling up to the house one day, and Michael answered the door and he was putting on this big squeaky voice, and then behind the door was him with a face full of makeup, a wig on and wearing a dress. And I had no idea what was going on, but such a funny memory for myself looking back anyways. But yeah, I'd just like to say fair play to you all as a family, to you, Anne. You've been so incredibly strong. You haven't shown a moment's weakness to me anyways, and you've really kept the family together. To you, Brian, as well, I would have spent a lot of time with you over the past few years, but you've been incredibly strong as well, and you've really stepped up to the plate and became the man of the house. And to Laura and Chloe as well, you've been incredible. Just you were so young when it happened, and you haven't let it kind of hold you back in life, which is a great thing for us to see anyways from the outside. But yeah, I'd just like to say on behalf of the rest of the Kilcawley family that we do really miss Michael. He had such a great presence within the estate, and we'd love nothing more than a McGowan party with Michael to be there. But just thinking of you all at this current time, and I hope you're getting on all right, and you take it as best you can at this time. But yeah, I hopefully talk to you soon, and hopefully we'll have a few drinks soon as well.
Michael rang me early on the morning of the Dublin Mayo All-Ireland final replay in 2016 to see if I wanted to go up for it. I wasn't so sure, but he convinced me anyway, and off we went. He had a spare ticket, as he told me. He rang a good few colleagues along the way to see if they wanted to go up, that he could get them a ticket as well, and work his miracles, work his magic as he could. He was very considerate to people, always thinking of others. Anyway, we got to Dublin, made the game. Mayo lost by a pint, sadly. Later we went to the Gresham Hotel, and there was a function going on that Senator David Norris was involved in. He was going around the lobby and keeping busy. A few Dublin fans in their ganzies approached him and they got a photo with him. They were delighted. Afterwards, Senator Norris declared, "I'd much prefer Mayo. Mayo a boo." Michael, on hearing this, set off into the opening lines Oscuelga of Peg Sayers, which Senator Norris joined him, and the two of them recited the first few paragraphs of the book. We got some photos, had a laugh with him for a while. Michael's sister and her husband were there. A great few hours there. We went next door to a pub then, and as boredom ensued, Michael came up with the idea that we would approach foreigners, spot them from a distance, approach them, make out we were from Bord Fáilte, and that we were given the job to form a new website for the tourism and promotion of Ireland. I was, yet again, in one of these many projects, a artistic director. Michael was producer, of course. We got talking to Icelandic people, Swedish, Scandinavian, all sorts. We got them to sing some of their national song, anything and everything. Why they loved Ireland, why they wanted to be in Ireland, and all that. Until we got found it out. You can imagine how the night went, and the rest of the night went. One of many, many happy memories I have of Michael. my time with him. He is a legend, and he's still with me, still walking with me. Brian, I want to commend you on coming up with this idea, this beautiful gift to your family, in memory of your dad. You're a special chap, you're a special boy, a wonderful son, and a great brother. Chloe and Laura, you amaze me. The three of you amaze me, actually, Brian included, and how well you've done and how you've moved forward in life. In such a tragedy at the time. But you're doing well, I can see it, and I wish you all the very best in your future. Your dad would be proud of you. He always was. Anne, dear Anne, the Wonder Woman of Templeby, your strength, your courage, the direction you took in leading your family and friends, all of us, after Michael's passing, it was a help to us all. I sometimes wondered if you were okay or on something to keep you going. You, and speaking openly and frankly about Michael, as if he was still with us, kept him with us. You remained with us and remains with us. You made it easy for people visiting your home to speak about Michael as if he was right there beside us or about to come through the door. There's times I go up to your front door and I still hear him calling, "Will you come in, will you?" I expect to see him coming down your drive, the big man mountain that he was, towering over you. His big jolly smile and heartfelt welcome. He's always with me. I thank you for coming into our lives. He'll always be with me. I'm sorry the video has gone on so long, but I'm not one to rush things, especially something like this. Thank you again for including us. I wish you well in your future. Here's to Michael, here's to the McGowan family.